A lonely girl, ignored by the world. A terrifying beast, raised with her sincere kindness. But when love turns into obsession, will the beast become her protector, or the greatest danger of all? A man bowed and said, "Your Majesty, I have urgent news." They found her. A man said to the girl, "Get up. Blondina thinks there he goes again. Blondina, you useless wench." Blondina said, "Yes, sir, I'm sorry." Man said, "Shut up. You eat more than you're worth. I took you in out of pity. You should repay me by working properly." Blondina thinks, "Ouch." The man clenched her hand and said, "Come here. I didn't even hit you that hard, don't exaggerate." Wretched girl. Constantly whining about being in pain. She shouts, "Ho!" The man said, "Just like your mother? That pretty face of yours is the only thing that's worthwhile. I hear Baronabello buys girls for a pretty penny. If you don't do your job properly, I'll have no choice but to sell you off. I have gambling debts to pay back, too." Blondina thinks, "What? No. No way." The man said, "Maybe I will check the goods beforehand." The man pushed her again, and she shouts, "Mo." The man shouts, "Why, you little." She ran away, and the man said, "Blondina, stop right there." Blondina thinks, "At this rate, I'm going to die. I'm really going to die." Getting beaten to death is scary, but what's more frightening is, people are saying, "Did you hear? They removed another corpse from the Baron's house. Her clothes were in tatters, and her body was badly bruised." Blondina thinks, with 20 gold pieces, I won't have to work for another 6 months. A woman said that girl's younger, so she'll probably fetch a higher price. Blondina runs fast and thinks, I don't want to die like that. A man appeared. He threw a ring and said, Blondina, this is a gift from your father. Keep it safe. Blondina picked up the ring and thinks the dirty, worn rag contained within it a shiny ring. A gift by the nameless man, who was apparently my father, and who, as soon as I was born, left as quick as the wind. A precious memento left to me by my mother. I wanted to keep it no matter what, as it is the only thing I own, but I'm at my limit. Blondina cried and said, Mother, I want to live. Blondina came near a shop and thinks, rather than cherishing the ring from the father who abandoned me, I need to keep myself safe. I do not want to be sold off. She entered the shop. The shopman said, Can I help you? Blondina said, Hello, sir. The man cleaned the ring with a cloth and said, Guess Nordy must have sent you with whatever he could sell off. He won't ever be able to quit his gambling habit, unless someone chops his hands off. Blondina said, I'm here today to sell something that belongs to me. The man said, Yours? Blondina said, Yes, my mother left it to me. The man gave a coin and said, Why don't you open it? Speaking of which, it's already been 3 years since Lily, your mother, passed away. While waiting hopelessly for the man who left her, she picked the coin. The man said, Poor thing. Here you go. I'll take a look as a favor to you, but don't get your hopes up. This is likely a cheaply made. Where did you steal this? You little rat. She shouts, I didn't steal it. The man said, Then how could you get your hands on such a valuable item? Blondina said, My mother gave it to me. She said it was the only thing my father left for her. It can't be. This crest. The shopman said, Stay right here. I need to go somewhere for a minute. Blondina said, Sir? Are you back? The shopman said she had a ring with the crest engraved on it. That is the child. It must be true. Take her. She thinks and no. Blondina said, Yes, sir. I have money. Don't sell me off, sir. Sir, help me. Sir. The man locked her in the horse-ride carriage and said, Stay put, and don't do anything stupid. She entered a room, sitting on the bed, and she thinks I'm scared. I have no idea what's happening. All I wanted was to live. She sees the men and thinks, what's going on? Who is Baronabello here to grab me? A duke came near and said, What is your name? Blondina said, Who are you? The duke said, Is your mother's name Lily? She said, Do you know my mother? The duke touched her face and said, There is quite a resemblance. Blondina said, Who are you? The Duke replied, I am Trij Ryan Haverty Atesh, the Emperor of Atesh, and your father. A voice said, Princess, if you are awake, I will enter. Blondina said, yes, ma'am. Blondina opened her eyes and she thinks, oops. She said, I am, yeah? She thinks after that night, having followed my so-called father into the palace, the first thing I was taught was royal etiquette. Other than those lessons, nothing has changed about my life. I'm still trapped. A maid took the dish of tea and said, His Majesty has invited you to a tea party today. Blondina said, a tea party? The maid replied, yes, Princess. I will guide you to the Emperor's back garden. She thinks His Majesty, it's strange. I am on my way to meet my father, so why am I not happy? There are so many leopard statues. Blondina thinks back then he said, stop right there. The maid said, Princess? She replied, oh, sorry. The maid said, Princess Blondina has arrived. Blondina thinks it's okay. No one in this place will beat me. There's nothing to worry about. Blondina came near. The Duke said, thank you for inviting me to the tea party. The Duke replied, approach. So you remember your lessons on royal etiquette, at least. These are your siblings, Lart and Adele. If only your eyes were as golden as your hair. Keep this in mind, Princess. You need not ever divulge the fact that you are a descendant of commoners. Never reveal this weakness to anyone. You were frail. You spent your childhood recuperating at another kingdom, and have just returned. Whether others believe it or not, that is the only truth. Have I made myself clear? Blondina said, I see. This is a warning. For me to know my place. Blondina said, yes, I will watch what I say and live a quiet life. The Duke said, good. It looks like your humble origins did not make you stupid. Oh, I haven't said this yet. Blondina thinks when the Duke said, welcome to the palace, my daughter. My daughter, thank you. I must have been really nervous. My shoulders hurt. Hey, commoner. Lart said, Blondina, was it? Ha! You've pretty well mannered, for a stupid peasant. Bowing left and right, without hesitation. Where did you learn that? A what house? Or a barn? Perhaps you were taught by an insect? Ha! Blondina said, insects cannot teach humans. Don't you know that? Lart said, what? He shouts, you dare talk back to me? Know your place. Blondina replied, I do know my place. But why are you so angry with me all of a sudden? Lart said, how dare a dirty little street urchin like you make fun of royalty? Blondina said, I never made fun of you. Lart said, you? How can a commoner like you be part of the royal family? I will not accept this. On my honor, I swear I will. Blondina said, okay, I'm sorry for everything. I'm a bit tired today, so, Lart shouts, what? Adele came near and said, Lart, stop it. Sister, that goes for you too. And if you ever insult Lart in front of me again, you will regret it. Blondina said, all I did was stand and watch him get angry and point his fingers at me. I'm not the one who made a fuss. Adele said, are you implying that Lart was the one causing a scene? Blondina thinks yes? But if I say that, things will get even more out of hand. Adele said, Princess Blondina, no, sister. Please be more careful in your actions from now on. Don't go around besmirching the royal family's good name. Blondina said, okay, understood. She thinks at this rate, they'll never let this go. I'll just laugh it off. Lart said, why are you smiling like that? You're mocking me, aren't you? Adele said, let's go, Lart. Spending time with her will only sink us down to her level. Lart said, consider yourself lucky. Blondina said, what a strange duo. She thinks, well, if I just mind my own business, I won't have to run into them again. Blondina came out of the room and saw something. Cat? Where's that sound coming from? Is it here? She sat down nearby and said, a kitty? Animal said, I'm not a cat. Blondina said, it's a talking cat. Kitty replied, I said I'm not a cat. Blondina said, you're so cute. Kitty replied, I feel like I'm talking to a wall here. Blondina said, did you hurt your leg? Kitty replied, it's none of your business. Blondina said, how did you get injured? Blondina thinks he must have fallen from there. She thinks, it's them. They must have bullied this kitty. Blondina said, you two, could you come here for a moment? Hello? You two understand me too, right? Kitty replied, meow. Blondina said, did you guys bully that black cat by any chance? You shouldn't gang up on others. It's a petty, nasty thing to do. One kitty said, he bit our tails. The black kitty said, only because you both jumped me from behind. Another said, you're so strong, it doesn't even hurt when we bite you. Yeah. The black kitty said, what? Blondina said, you're leaving? Please come back and apologize to him later, okay? Okay then, come with me, kitty. I'll fix you up. The black kitty said, no. Why would I follow some strange human I don't even know? Blondina said, then I'll tell you who I am. I'm Blondina. Blondina Ryan Atesh. The black kitty said, I'm not interested in knowing your name. Blondina said, come on, let's be friends. You don't have any, do you? Kitty replied, what? Says who, you rude, arrogant human? Blondina said, won't you be my friend? I'm all alone. My mother passed away, and my newfound father doesn't seem to care much for me. It's pretty much like I don't have one. Even my half-siblings despise me. They were angry at me earlier for no reason. It's so lonely, being on my own in this big castle. So, please be my friend. Let's hang out together. Voices echoed in her head. He is the descendant of the divine beast who killed our god. How dare you show your face around here? Get lost. Be quiet. You monster. Get out of our sight. Monster. Blondina said, shall we go to where I live first? You can leave after I fix you up. You'll be in a lot of pain if you head home without treating your wounds. Oh. Kitty said, make no mistake. After you treat me, I'm going home. Blondina said, this doesn't mean we're friends. She hugged him. Kitty said, are you crying? Blondina replied, no, Kitty. He replied, I'm not a cat. Blondina said, well, you sure look like one. A man said, princess. Here you are. Kitty said, can't breathe. What are you doing? Hey. The man said, greetings, princess. I am, greetings, O member of the great divine leopard clan. Blondina said, leopard? Divine? Oh. Kitty? The boy said, I told you I wasn't a cat. Blondina said, you're human? Biba the kitty, is your leg okay? The man said, it does hurt a bit. She thinks, how cute. The man said, that boy is the cruelest of the divine leopard clan, the black leopard. Although young, his physical abilities are far superior to those of humans. The boy said, so, what is your business with the princess? The man bowed and said, well, princess. I'm here on the emperor's orders to deliver the royal bracelet. The boy said, why doesn't he come give it to her in person? The man said, I was just ordered to bring it. I will head back now. The boy said, you better not tell anyone else that I was here. The boy said, so, how does it feel to find out my real identity? Blondina said, you're really pretty. The boy said, not that. Do you acknowledge my greatness now? Blondina said, yes. You transformed into a human. It's amazing. You were a cat just now. The boy said, humph. You're more afraid of that overgrown doofus than you are of my high and noble self? Blondina said, yes. First of all, he was so big. Why? Things aren't always what they seem. I could tear out his beating heart with one hand. Blondina said, but he was so much larger than you in size. Anyway, let's go to my room so I can fix you up. Aman said you should carry me, since I'm injured. She replied, of course. Blondina said, what's your name? The boy replied, Aman. Amanakin. She said, I'm Blondina. You heard my name earlier, right? But you can call me Britty. That's what my mom used to call me. Aman said, okay, Britty. Blondina said thankfully, you don't seem to be hurt too badly. Aman said, yeah, I guess so. Aman thinks since, as a Shinsu, I heal much quicker than humans do. Blondina said, all done. But the sun has already set. Is it okay to go back out there now? It's so dark out. Aman said, I'll just sleep here. Blondina said, oh? Okay then. How can you be okay with this? You don't even know me. Aman said, you're a cute cat. I'm only sleeping here because you were nice enough to treat my injury. It is probably the first time a divine beast ever deigned to sleep in a human dwelling. Blondina said, why? Aman said, because we're not especially close with humans. Blondina said, why not? Aman said, we despise mankind. Blondina said, why don't you like us? Aman said, humans stink of deceit and foolishness. Blondina said, stink? Can you smell that on me too? Aman said, no, you're all right. Blondina said, really? Cool. But what kind of smell are you referring to? Aman said, human children don't need to know the details. Blondina said, ah, I see. Aman, how old are you? I'm 11. Aman said, I'm 9. Blondina said, I'm older then. Aman said, older? That's ridiculous. Blondina said, shouldn't you be in your adult form if you're 9 years old? Since you're a beast? But you're still. Aman said, we're different from regular leopards. We transform to our adult forms once we turn 18 or 19. That's when we have our coming-of-age ceremony. Blondina replied, I see. Aman said, don't touch me. Blondina said, oh, did I upset you? I'm sorry. Aman said, I'm not upset. But if you touch me, I feel, well, never mind. Just don't touch me there. Later, as they lay on the bed, Blondina said, so I can pet you everywhere else? Aman said, how did you come to that conclusion? After that day, Aman would frequently visit the detached palace she resided in. Aman said, I'm only visiting to eat your delicious human food. Blondina thinks he always had a different excuse for visiting, and he was always prickly in demeanor, but I was happy to see him. Blondina said, welcome back, Aman. Elsewhere, the Duke said, so that last one, wasn't it? Aman replied, no, your majesty. We had high hopes, since they had blonde hair and golden eyes. The Duke said, what about the one we found last time? The man replied, they did not react at all to the magic stone, either. The Duke said, so, yet another failure. The man replied, my apologies, your majesty. The Duke said, you may leave. The Duke thinks a power passed down only to golden-eyed blondes, Blondina, blonde like her mother. But she didn't inherit Lily's golden eyes. While Lily had both golden hair and eyes, she did not possess any special powers. Still, I fell in love with her. I didn't care about the purity of the bloodline. I just wanted to protect her and our baby. But in order to do so, I needed the power of the throne. I had no choice but to leave her, but she vowed to wait for me. And I left her my ring, promising to return. But like the saying, out of sight, out of mind, as I clawed my way up to the throne, my feelings for her began to fade. And my time with Lily became nothing more than a fleeting memory. After all, I was always destined for a life in the palace. As soon as I became emperor, I focused on finding every golden-eyed blonde in the empire. And the power that they possessed was the only thing that could make those treacherous divine beasts kneel before the throne. Especially those beautiful divine leopards, who have always regarded the royal family with contempt. A maid said, Princess, I brought the dice you requested. Lady Lucy has also arrived. Blondina said, oh great. Come in. Lucy said, good morning, Princess. I see Aman is not here today either. Blondina closed the book and replied, no, he isn't. Lucy, the youngest daughter of Count Harith, became my lady-in-waiting 3 months ago. Lucy said, I haven't seen him in over 15 days. Blondina thinks a girl the same age as me. She quickly became my dear companion in the lonely palace. When Lucy first saw Aman, she exclaimed, wow, what a cute cat. But upon noticing the transformation stone on his forehead, she paled and dropped immediately to the floor. Greetings to a member of the great divine leopard clan. She was so scared, she could hardly lift her face. That didn't last long, however, once she saw how friendly I was with Aman. Lucy brought homemade cookies. Want some? Even while shaking with terror, she approached him timidly, and after a few months, loved the baby leopard to death. She always comes with cookies for Aman, even though she's still so afraid of him. Lucy said, "Why isn't Aman coming by these days?" Blonde Ina said, "I don't know. I wonder, are you curious, Lucy? What's to like about a leopard who's always so cranky?" Lucy said, "But he's adorable. And really, really cute." Blonde Ina said, "True. Aman is pretty adorable. With a shiny coat of black fur and sparkling eyes. They're just like jewels, right?" Blonde Ina said, "Aman?" Lucy said, "Aman? It has been a while." "Ah," she said, "Ack. A sparrow. It's," Lucy said, "I can't bear this. Princess. That poor sparrow." Blonde Ina thinks, did Aman bring this as a gift? Blonde Ina said, "What are you doing?" Aman said, "Are you scared of sparrows, by any chance?" Blonde Ina said, "I'm not scared of them. But Blonde Ina thinks more like I feel bad for the dead sparrow." Aman said, "Don't humans like this kind of thing? I know you find things like little sparrows cute." Blonde Ina said, "Well, yes. That's true. But," Aman said, "but," she replied, "I prefer them alive, rather than dead." Aman said, "Hey, get up." "Hey," I said, "get up. You continue to play dead, and I'll make it a reality." The little thing replied, "Yes, sir." Aman said, "Now play with this girl." The little thing replied, "Yes, Aman." The little thing said, "Hello, little miss. I feigned death not because I didn't like you but because I was in pain. As you know, Aman's teeth are very sharp. If I moved, I could really be bitten. And to be honest, I was too lazy to come here too. What I mean is, it's not because I dislike you. Excuse me, are you listening?" Blonde Ina replied, "Come to think of it, I haven't greeted you yet. Hi." The little thing said, "Yes. Hello?" Blonde Ina tucked her face and said, "How come you haven't come to see me lately?" Aman replied, "I went to visit the sacred mountain." Blonde Ina said, "Sacred mountain?" Aman said, "Yes, I need to go there for my strength." Ugh. Never mind, stop prying. I end up answering your questions without thinking. Blonde Ina said, "But Aman, how can this sparrow talk? Is he a divine beast too?" The little thing said, "Oh, no. I am not a divine beast. Aman shared his great power with me, which allowed me to speak. And to be honest, I'm actually quite a bit more clever than my peers." Aman said, "So, do you like my gift?" Blonde Ina said, "I do. He's so cute. But what's his name?" The little thing said, "I have yet been named." Aman said, "He doesn't have a name yet. Why don't you give him one?" Blonde Ina said, Let's see." Aman said, "What about Magetto?" The little thing said, "I love it." Blonde Ina said, "Are you crazy? But you said you wanted to watch me shoot an arrow, and that you were interested in how humans use tools." Aman said, "Archery contest? I want to watch too." Blonde Ina said, "Why? You said you had no interest in human activities." Aman said, "The weak humans were able to drive away the beasts, with their sharp claws and teeth, and take over the continent. Tools are what enabled them to do that. So I want to check out how destructive these things can be, see if they are really that powerful." Blonde Ina said, "That was what you said. Aman, if you don't put this on, you can't go. I need to tell everyone that you're my pet cat, but if people can see the transformation stone, the jig will be up." "That's right, Aman. If not, how about attending as yourself?" Aman thinks it's not a big deal to reveal my true identity. But if the other divine beasts see me, word will get out, and things will get annoying. Blonde Ina said, "Aman?" Aman thinks plus, while Blondina's not golden-eyed, she has blonde hair. She might become a target for Shinsa leopards who loathe blondes and golden eyes. I could ignore the complaints from the uptight elders, but it might become more difficult to freely roam the palace, as I do now. Although so much time has passed since, the little thing said, "Aman, you look wonderful. It suits you well. Wear it forever." Aman said, "You dumb bird. I'll end you right now." Blonde Ina said, "How cute." At the hunting ground, the emperor is entering the grounds. Blonde Ina saw them and said, "Hey, why aren't you walking with them?" "Well, because the main character usually needs to make a grand solo entrance." Then, the Duke said, "Let the contest begin." Some men began hunting birds. Magetto said, "Princess Blonde Ina, There isn't anything like a sparrow shooting contest, is there? Blondina said no, no such thing. Aman said eek. Humans are so cruel. Blondina said I'm sorry, Magetto. Aman said Britty, I'm bored to death. What's the meaning of this useless human behavior? She replied there is no meaning, probably. Aman said then why do they do stupid things like this? Blondina said for entertainment, Aman. It's the same thing as when you play with a ball of yarn. Aman said you obviously don't know, Britty. What I play with best is my prey, not yarn. Did you know that leopards use claws to tear into the skin of its massive prey and rip it apart? Blondina said now, scary words coming from such a cute voice. If you're really that bored, shall we go look at some trees? Aman said what's the point of looking at trees? Blondina said well, it won't be any different from looking at arrows, right? Aman said I suppose it will be more interesting than watching these weak humans play. Blondina said Aman, look here. These ants are crawling up this tree. Come to think of it, you're a good climber too, right? Being a leopard and all. If you're bored, want to try climbing this tree? Aman said Britty, if you have nothing to say, don't say anything. A man saw them and said eek. Ha ha. Look who's here. Lart said Blondina, it's you. You look so shabby that I mistook you for an animal. Aman heard the word animal. In an instant, he transformed into a human, attacked him, and placed his foot on his neck. Lart said please don't kill me. Aman said how dare you, you lowly piece of. Blondina said how dare a lowly human like you threaten something that's mine? Aman said you know how weak you humans are, right? Hit one with an arrow, and they will die. Yet you aimed and fired an arrow at Blondina. Lart said I didn't realize it was Blondina. Aman said you didn't know, you say, of course, of course. It's possible that you had no idea. You know what? I don't know either. Just how much force I need to apply for you to die. Would this be enough? Or maybe this much? Lart said and no. I didn't mean to, please don't kill me. I'm sorry. Spare me, Blondina belongs to me. A mighty, clever royal like you will understand what I'm saying here, right? Why yes. I understand. Blondina said don't let him off easy, Aman. He said those humans killed pigeons too. She said Aman. Aman said are you scared? Should I stop? Blondina said no, that's not it. Just in case, just target parts of his body where the bruises wouldn't be readily visible. Aman said what? Blondina said what he did isn't right. But killing him seems a little harsh. Roughing him up a bit would be okay, though. Aman said yo, Prince. Listen carefully. If you try to get revenge on Britty for what happened today, that day will be your last one on Earth. Got it? Lart said yes. Aman said good. Aren't you a smart boy? I've had enough of this dumb archery contest. Let's go to your palace and have a snack. Hold me, Britty. Aman thinks don't be afraid of me. I'm your cute little beast. Aman said okay, let's go. Blondina said Aman, you look so cool when you were stepping on Lart and threatening him. Aman said I can do even better next time. I'm really good at that stuff. I've fought many beasts, but that was my first time attacking a human. So, Lart said those damned arrogant divine beasts. Adelia said so that beast threatened you, Lart, while protecting Blondina? Lart replied stepped on my neck and tried to crush my sternum. It really hurt. Adelia said why in the world would you behave so recklessly? You're being an embarrassment to the royal family. Adelia thinks while it may be powerful, it is still no more than an animal. How dare it insult Lart to defend common trash like Blondina? Adelia said you may feel personally slighted, but ultimately, you brought shame to the royal family. When will you stop being so thoughtless in your actions? Lart said Adelia. Adelia said what if you had actually shot that pathetic sister of ours? What would father have said? And word would have spread like wildfire. Lart replied I am sorry. Adelia said technically it's not your fault. You just wanted to teach the brat a lesson. I do understand where you're coming from. Having said that, let's be more careful in the future. try not to bother Blondina when that divine beast is around. Since, as we know, they are very powerful. Okay? But I promise I'll exact my revenge on them for humiliating you. Lard said, how? Even those beasts must have a weakness or two, don't you think? You can count on me. Adelia came to the Duke's room and said, Your Majesty. Duke said, Adelia? She said, Are you busy? Duke said, Come closer. Is something on your mind? You seem upset. Adelia said, I do, Your Majesty. Duke said, What could be weighing on your mind, child, for you to sigh so deeply? Adelia said, I was studying the history of our empire yesterday, and I was saddened. Duke said, What saddened you? Adelia said, We, the royal family, built this empire, and we are the ones who govern its people, aren't we? Yet we can do nothing about those brutish divine leopards, other than stand back and let them run amok as they please. This disheartens me. Duke said, Adelia, you and I are so alike in many ways. Adelia said, I am honored to hear you say that, Your Majesty. Duke said, which is why I think that it wouldn't be such a bad idea to have an empress inherit the throne. Adelia said, What? He thinks me, a woman on the throne? Duke said, Adelia, you must find the golden-eyed blonde. If we wish to no longer bow down to the likes of those divine beasts, finding the descendant of our God is our only hope. Duke thinks blonde and golden-eyed. Divine leopards. Another side, Amon thinks no sword or spear can defeat them. Arrows merely bounce off their impenetrable skin. Fearsome conquerors of great size. In the past, the only ones who could face off against these fearful creatures were the first god and their descendant, Barahan. Barahan was a god born for both humans and divine beasts. As time passed, the first god passed out of existence, and Barahan was said to have disappeared as well. However, 500 years ago, a descendant of Barahan appeared. Although they were eventually killed by a divine black leopard, they had borne a child, which means there must be a living descendant of the gods somewhere out there. Once we find this descendant, humans will once again have complete dominion over these lands. Duke said, Adelia, if you are able to find the descendant of Barahan, you will become the next ruler of this great empire. Adelia said, Yes, I'll keep that in mind. Amon said, I'm not a mere cat, I'm a divine leopard. Blondina said, Yes, Amon. You are the most awesome and amazing being in this world. Amon said, You think a great, divine leopard like myself would play with this measly ball of yarn? She said, Amon, I will save you from this dastardly yarn. Lacey said, Princess, Amon looks like he's having a really good time. Blondina said, You're right, Lucy. I didn't think he'd have this much fun with it either. Amon said, It's all tangled. Get it off of me. Blondina said, You're just too cute. Amon said, How dare you lay hands on my butt? You want to kiss your hand goodbye? Blondina said, Are you going to eat my hand? Do you eat humans? Amon said, I don't see why not. I could lick you now from head to toe, chew you up, and swallow you whole. Blondina said, Don't eat me. I probably taste bad. All I ate was junk until I was 11 years old. Amon said, Junk? Blondina replied, Yeah. I'd eat leftovers from restaurants, or hard, moldy bread. So you should eat Lucy instead. Lacey shouted, Eek. Princess, I probably don't taste very good, either. Our family has fallen on hard times, so it's been a while since we had any meat on the table, Blondina replied him. Amon, your choice. Do you want to eat me or Lucy? Amon said, I'll reconsider after you've both fattened up a bit. I don't like sinking my teeth into prey that's just skin and bones. But before I eat you up, let me ask you something. Blondina said, What? Amon said, Tell me your life story. Blondina said, Well, I lived like any other commoner. Amon said, What kind of life is that? Blondina said, Oh, you know. I was penniless, so I ate bread people had dropped on the ground. Magetto said, Wow. So you were a beggar? Amon said, Bridie, you know, you don't really talk much about your life before entering the palace. Does this have anything to do with how terrified you get whenever there are big, bulky men nearby? Oh, really? I didn't realize. Tell me and I'll destroy those torturous memories from your past. Blondina said, I will when I'm ready to share. It's really nothing, really, but maybe later. Amon said, Okay. It doesn't matter when, just tell me whenever you're ready. Got it? Blondina said, I'm okay. The maid said, Princess, this dress the emperor sent you as a gift looks so beautiful on you. Blondina said, does it? Maid said, of course. Please have a seat so I can brush your hair. Aman said, what are you doing? Blondina said, Aman, I need to head to a party soon. You can hang out with Lucy and Magetto today, okay? Aman said, do I look like I need a babysitter? Blondina said, well, I'm off. See you later, Aman. Magetto said, Aman, where are you going? Aman said, none of your business. You better stay here. If you follow me. People were saying Princess Blondina has arrived. People were whispering, oh my. Could that be? Yes, it must be that princess. How in the world did she manage to get that dress? Walking around like she owns the place. How shameless. Blondina thinks as I expected, these people are all treating me like I'm an idiot. I can hear you, you know. People said look at the color of her outfit. Obviously, she didn't hear what the theme was for this party. Blondina thinks I don't know why they even bother inviting me. A man said, well, it's obvious that she has no friends. How could she have known? Blondina thinks look at how they're laughing at me. Why are they so concerned about my outfit? A servant shouted, the shining sun of the empire. The emperor is entering the ballroom. Our son. People were saying, Your Majesty. Greetings, Your Majesty. Duke said, I've been too busy lately to come see you. Have you both been well? Lart said, we saw you just a week ago, Your Majesty. Duke said, I have missed you so much, children. The week has felt more like a month. She said, my dears, I know you're happy to meet your father, but you cannot take up too much of his time. Your Majesty, it's time to greet the visiting party from the duchy. Duke said, I'd like to talk to the children a bit more. I haven't seen them much recently, as I've been busy touring the nearby territories. Duke thinks a blue dress, that must be Blondina. Duke said, son, daughter, are you getting along with your sister? Both replied, yes, Your Majesty. Duke said, why don't you two go talk to your sister? It doesn't look good for a royal princess to be standing alone. Blondina thinks I'd rather they left me alone. I don't really like you guys either. Come to think of it, Lionel. Adelia said, I heard you received a new horse for your birthday. The girl said, yes, princess. His sire was the winner of the previous equestrian competition. I waited 6 months to get him. Adelia said, wow, we'd love to go riding one day. What about you, sister? Blondina thinks they're not speaking in the official language of the empire. What are they saying? Blondina thinks I'm going to be taking painting lessons from Pinelli. Pinelli? He's quite popular these days, isn't he? I hear he's very eccentric, and it's quite difficult to procure his works. Geez, how long are they going to keep this up? Our family recently agreed to sponsor him. Haven't they had more than enough fun at my expense by now? Adelia said, oh shoot. We came over to talk to you and got caught up conversing among ourselves. She thinks how childish. Blondina said, yes, you did. Blondina thinks this is nothing, compared to being slapped around by the innkeeper. Adelia said it must have been boring, hearing us talk about things you know nothing about. Sorry. Please, join us in conversation. Blondina replied, no, that's okay. I have nothing to boast about. Even if I did, I don't really enjoy showing off to other people. I think I'd like to go to the back garden for some fresh air, so if you'll excuse me. Lart said, Adele lie. Sounds like Blondina understands Old Etesian, too. There's no way she could, Lart. She thinks how in the world did that brat learn Old Etesian? A boy said Princess Blondina, is it? Princess Adele lie, where does your sister Blondina reside? I've never seen her at the main palace. Adelia said, why are you so interested in that brat, Philip? The boy said, say what you will, but she seemed to carry herself with confidence. Adelia said, confidence? That's not confidence, but the vulgarity of a dirty commoner. Try talking to her and you'll find out just how uneducated she is. The boy replied, perhaps I'll pay her a visit. Blondina thinks I don't need to know their language to figure out what they're saying. If they're trying to make me feel bad, slapping me in the face would be a lot more effective. Blondina said this pie was absolutely delicious. It was unlike anything I've ever tasted before. You'll be pleasantly surprised once you take a bite. You really don't want any? Then I'm going to eat it all. No! Hand it over. Aman said, how did you know I was here? Blondina said, I saw something moving out the window, and it turned out to be a cute little kitten. Blondina said, did you come here because you were worried about me? Aman replied, no. I was just curious to see what human parties were like. Blondina said, Aman, what is it? Blondina thinks I was actually struggling a bit back there, at the party. She said, it's nothing. Aman said, okay then. Blondina hugged him. Aman said, this is yummy. Bring back some more and ack. Blondina said, but I have Aman. You're so cute. I adore you. Aman said, my dignity, what's up with you all of a sudden? Blondina said, I'm okay because I have you, Aman. How cute. A cat that size. Aman replied, fine, do whatever you want. Blondina said, Lucy, if the queen can't block the move, what happens next? Lacey said, then the game is a draw. You can't win. Ever? No, because you can't capture the king with a single pawn. Blondina said, A man said, Princess Blondina, you have a visitor. It is Marquis Philip, son of Duke Radson. Blondina thinks, Philip? I've never heard of him. I have heard of the Radson family. They're one of the 4 dukedoms supporting the empire. She said, let him in. Blondina thinks, why would someone from such a powerful family come to visit me? The boy said, greetings, your royal highness. I am Philip Radson. She said, right, from that party. Blondina thinks, why is he here? Did Adele send him here, to pick a fight with me? Blondina replied, yes, Marquis Radson. Philip said, I didn't get to properly introduce myself at the party. It is an honor to be able to meet you. Blondina thinks, to be honest, I'm not very glad to see you. Philip gave something and said, I'm just here to give you this. Blondina said, what is it? Philip opened the box and said, we discovered a huge gemstone at one of our mines and used it to make this. Blondina thinks, a beautiful ruby brooch. It looks expensive. Blondina said, it's pretty. But why are you giving it to me? Philip said, we made one for Princess Adele. Then we remembered there was a second princess in the royal family. Blondina thinks, so, the Radsons made a brooch for the Princess of Atesh, and since I'm a princess, they're giving me one too? But quite frankly, this feels strange. Even as a princess, I was used to people looking down on me. But here he is, treating me like Adeli's equal. Philip said, and this was gifted from the merchant of a foreign country. It is very valuable, so, Lacey said, Candy, you're back. Did you enjoy your walk? Blondina said, hey. Philip said, I'd also like to invite you to my birthday party. It would be an honor if you could make it. Lacey said, Aman, I mean Candy? Why did you drop this? You have to be careful, it might break. Ahem. Blondina said, if you could attend, it would be a great honor. Blondina said, my apologies. My cat seems to be in a bad mood today. I'll think about attending your party. Philip said, it's okay. Thank you. I hope you will bless us with your presence. I will take my leave now. Endless glory to the Empire. Blondina said, what's up with you today? Aman said, huh? What did I do? Blondina thinks, but when have I ever understood Aman and his whims? He's probably just having a bad day today. He's really cranky. The maid said, Princess, Aman, have some cookies. Aman said, you call this measly pile of weeds a present? The maid said, oh actually, Aman, that tea is quite expensive. It's made from rare dried flowers. What? This little thing? Aman said, the flowers in my garden are much nicer. Blondina shouted, Aman, is your paw okay? You aren't hurt, are you? Aman said, Blondina, why did that human boy come to see you? And why did he give you this invite? And this flower tea thing? Lacey said, Aman, you should ask one question at a time, so the princess can actually answer you. Aman said, I don't understand. Do humans usually give out invitations in person? Blondina said, I'm not sure. Perhaps he was trying to be extra courteous, since I'm a princess. Aman said, and why did he give you that flower tea? Blondina said, maybe he didn't want to show up empty-handed? She thinks if I tell him about the brooch, he might want to destroy that too. Aman said he could have just asked another human to deliver it. Blondina said, well, Blondina thinks how would I know what that guy was thinking? Aman said, if you don't know, then who does? Blondina said, Aman, calm down. Why are you so upset? Aman said, yeah, why did I get so mad? Blondina said, how would I know? So, are you going to go to that party? I'll think about it. I'm a princess, after all. I can't always be avoiding these gatherings. By the way, I heard old Etesian, being a symbol of nobility, is only passed down to members of the royal family and other nobles in spoken form. But I couldn't possibly ask the emperor or empress to teach me, never mind my step-siblings. Guess I'm never going to be able to understand it. Blondina said, what do I do now? I'm so sick of being belittled by that crowd. Aman said, Britty. Blondina said, Aman replied, do you want to learn Old Etesian? Blondina said, what? Old Etesian? But I heard you couldn't learn it, even if you wanted to. There are no books on it in the library either. Aman said, no worries. Because I will be your teacher. Blondina said, Aman, you know Old Etesian? Aman said, of course. After all, I'm a great divine leopard, with the blood of the ancient nobles running through my veins. Blondina replied, oh my, thank you, that's amazing. Aman thinks, oh well, it's not the first time she's treating me like a pet. Aman said, I even jumped willingly into her arms earlier. Lacey said, here's the ink, quills, and parchment you requested. Blondina replied, thanks, Lucy. Blondina thinks, how will Aman hold the quill with those tiny paws? He might get ink on his paws and leave little paw prints on the parchment. Oh my god, that would be so cute. So adorable. I can't wait to see it. Aman said, then, please use me as you see fit, Britty. Blondina said, now, Aman, you're handsome, and dapper, and gorgeous. Why are you so good looking? Huh. Human or leopard, I like handsome. Could you just stay in human form from now on? Huh. Aman said, go away. I need to study with Britty. Blondina said, Aman, why did you change into your human form? You could have stayed a leopard. Aman said, you don't like me as a human? No, it's not that. I can't exactly hold a quill in leopard form. Blondina said, well, that's true. We'll work on grammar later. Start by memorizing some basic words. Here, this is the word for teacup. This is plate. And this means knife. Finally, you have the word for fork. Aman said, you'll probably be mostly using Old Etesian at tea parties and balls, so learning these words will come in handy. Blondina said, Aman. Aman said, what is it? Blondina said, I don't know. Aman said, don't know what? Blondina replied, I don't know how to read. Sorry for being so uneducated. Aman said, no worries, you can take your time learning the alphabet. Blondina said, but still, it's okay. Blondina thinks his vibe is so different from when he's in baby leopard form. Aman said, Lucy, you know how to read and write standard Etesian, right? Lacey said, oh yes, I do. Aman said, could you teach Britty basic reading and writing, whenever I'm not around? Britty. Blondina said, why yes. Aman said, when I'm not here, get Lucy to teach you the alphabet. It might get confusing if you try to rush through it, so take it one step at a time. Blondina replied, okay, got it. Aman said, hey, what's wrong? Blondina said, what do you mean? Aman said, are you in awe of my devastating good looks? She thinks he's too close. Aman said, I guess it'll take time for you to get used to my human form. Since you don't know the alphabet yet, no point in staying in human form. She said, true. Blondina thinks my adorable little kitty. Aman said, go and then, pet pet me now? Blondina replied, okay. Blondina thinks I like Aman in human form too, but I'd become very flustered around him for some reason. I guess I'm still not totally used to seeing him as a beautiful boy. Blondina said, so this is pronounced as a. The one next to it is, what do these letters mean? Aman said, garden. Blondina said, greetings to your majesty, the empire's shining sun. The duke said, Bridie, I see you are studying Old Etesian. Have you adjusted to life in the royal palace? Blondina replied, yes, I have. Thank you for your concern, your majesty. The duke said, is there anything else you require? Blondina said, no, everything is perfect. The duke said, I cannot help but notice how much you resemble your mother, Lily. Blondina said, oh, yes, I've heard that quite often. The duke said you were residing in a lord's castle, were you not? I suppose Lily remarried. Understandable. She was a very beautiful woman. Blondina said, your majesty, my mom was not a lord's mistress. She never remarried. You are the only man she ever loved. Blondina thinks you know nothing, absolutely nothing about my mother. The duke said, Bridie, your father was an elegant and beautiful man. He may have hidden his true identity from me. Although I suspected, I couldn't deny him. Because I was truly in love with him. Blondina thinks my mother knew her lover was hiding something, and that he may eventually leave her. The duke said, Blondina, you're a precious child born out of the love shared by your father and me. Blondina thinks, but she accepted him anyway, and gave birth to me. She turned a blind eye to all his faults. So how dare he question my mother's fidelity? Blondina said, my mom was a beautiful person. Even though she was saddled with a child, many men asked for her hand in marriage. But she never wavered. Even as we faced many hardships, she only thought of you. She worked hard to raise me on her own. Even as she lay dying with sickness in her lungs, she never forgot you. That is the kind of woman my mother was, your majesty. The duke said, is that so? Blondina said, the ring you left her was her most cherished possession. Blondina came to her room and said, Aman, Lucy, I'm back. Lacey replied, oh princess. Marquis Philip sent another invitation. I think he wanted to confirm your attendance, since the party is today. Will you be going? Blondina replied, I guess I should get ready. Could you help me, Lucy? Lacey replied, sure, leave it to me. Aman said, will you be okay? Lacey said, huh? What do you mean? Just, with everything. Do you want me to come with you again? It'll get boring for you, hiding in the bushes. Aman said I could go in human form. Blondina thinks I'd feel better, of course, if I attended the party with Aman. But he'd said that being seen with me could get him in trouble with his clan elders. I already owe Aman so much, I don't want to burden him. Plus, I'd been studying Old Etesian pretty diligently, so I could probably manage on my own. Blondina said, no, it's okay. I'll go by myself, Aman. Aman said, why? You don't want to be seen with a beast at a society event? Blondina said, what are you saying, Aman? Why are you asking me if I dislike being seen with beasts? Aman, look at me. What do you mean? Why would I dislike being with you? He's a descendant of the divine beasts who killed our god. Go away! You monster! Aman said, humans are all the same. When it comes to beasts, you all hate. Never mind. Blondina said, huh? Aman said, well, if someone makes fun of you at the party, just bite them. Humans have pretty solid teeth too, right? Or just scratch them with your nails. Blondina replied, got it. Sorry, I have to leave. It's been a while since you visited last. Have fun with Lucy today, okay? Aman asked, play with Lucy? What am I, a kid? Damn it. Blondina thinks I wonder if Lucy and Aman are having fun. He denies it, but they actually get along quite well. Come to think of it, I always hug Aman tightly and tease him. But Lucy is always kind and gentle with Aman. Is that why Aman is always nice to Lucy? He doesn't whack the back of her hand or push away her cheek like he does with me. Earlier, if Lucy had asked the question instead of me, he might have answered. I thought Aman and I were best friends, but Princess Blondina Ryan Atesh. She thinks, am I asking for too much? Philip said, you made it, princess. Blondina said yes, since you were kind enough to invite me personally. Philip said oh. Adelia said Blondina, you're here too. You should have given us a heads up. I'm a bit surprised to see you here. Blondina said hello, Adelia. How are you? Adelia replied good. Lard said oh. Blondina, I mean, sister, your brooch. Adelia, it looks exactly like yours. Adelia thinks the brooch that was specially made for the Princess of Atesh. Hers is identical to the one Philip gave me. Does this mean the Duke acknowledges Blondina as my equal? He said didn't they say this gem was really rare? I thought you only gave one to Adelia. Lart said you should have given me one too then, Philip. I like red too. It's a great color on me. Philip said the next time we find a rare gemstone, we'll be sure to gift it to you, Your Highness. Blondina, I mean, sister, it looks surprisingly nice on you. I thought you'd only look good wearing cheap knockoffs. Adelia said Marquis Philip, you'll have to make a choice next time. It's either me or Blondina. This is a warning, understood? I don't ever want to have to acknowledge or spend time with my sister, trying to socialize with us, eager to get us to like her, like a pathetic little puppy. Lart said yeah. Invite just Adelia and me from now on. And I want a brooch next time, too. I agree, Philip. Blondina said do as they say. I'm okay. Adelia, I don't need to rush over like a puppy to spend time with you. We're family. Lart said true, since we technically share the same blood. Blondina said if you have something to say it to my face. Don't make me stand here uncomfortably while you trash me in a language you think I don't understand. Also, if I wanted a closer relationship with you, I'd let you know directly, not follow you around like a puppy. Lart said I would say it plainly, in a language that you'd understand. Blondina! Where did you learn Old Etesian? Only high nobles and royals know how to speak it. Blondina said Lart, I'm also a member of the royal family. That's right. Come to think of it, you're my older sister. Adelia shouted I'm leaving now. This party is getting tiresome. Blondina said goodbye. Lart said oh. Wait for me, Adelia. She went to the carriage. Lart said Adelia? She definitely knew Old Etesian, right? I wonder where she studied it. Do you think father taught her? Adelia shouted please, just shut up. Sorry, Lart. I got carried away. I'm not angry with you. Adelia thinks princesses don't use profanity. That was unbecoming of me. How shameful. Lart said it's okay. I think I got a bit too excited. Adelia thinks but Lart is still the official heir to the throne, so until I become empress, I have to feign support for him, while growing my influence behind his back. The coachman said Princess, one of the wheels on your carriage broke, and it may take some time to get it fixed. Adelia said what? The man said no human could have done this, and no wild beast could have entered the premises, so I don't know what happened, my apologies. Lart said Adelia, it looks like today just isn't your day. Adelia shouted I told you to shut up, you idiot. Blondina said I'm sorry, Philip. Philip said for what? Blondina said we had an argument at your birthday party. Philip said it's not your fault, Princess Blondina. I should have known something like this would happen. So the fault is mine. But you're surprisingly calm about what happened. Blondina said oh, this is nothing. I'm used to dealing with things like this. Philip said used to it? Blondina said Philip, as you may know, I come from a humble background. I know what these people say about me. How they all see me. I'm sure they despise me and find me ridiculous. But the fact that they come from good families doesn't give them the right to look down on me or insult me. I'm actually pretty satisfied with my life right now. I'm not starving, and I have a roof over my head. So I don't plan on threatening Adelia's position in this society, and I have no interest in showing off or acting out just because I've become a princess. I wish she understood that, but it's not as easy as it seems. And Philip, from now on, please refrain from coming to see me or inviting me to parties. Philip replied what? Blondina said I understand Adelia. She probably feels like I'm encroaching on her territory. I know you mean well, but I no longer wish to accept your gestures of goodwill. Philip said, "Yes, princess." He thinks, "What is this feeling?" Blondina said, "So the other day, a man was smelling the flowers, and his ears started twitching. His tail started to swish, too, and it was so cute. I nearly tried to reach out and touch it." "Really? Why didn't you?" Lacey said. "What? How could I dare touch the tail of a divine beast?" Blondina laughed and said, "Haha. By the way, Lucy, do humans have a good or bad relationship with the divine beasts?" Midget said, "It's not good. I don't know why you're asking such an obvious question. There's no love lost between those two groups. The humans and the divine beasts battled against each other. It's still a very sore subject for the divine beasts." Blondina said, "What caused war to break out?" Midget said, "How would I know? Sparrows don't study history." Blondina said, "Oh, right. You're just a sparrow. Lucy, do you know why they were in conflict?" Lacey said, "Yes, princess. After the gods, the only ones who could control the divine beasts, disappeared, a fight erupted between them and humans." Blondina said, "Really? But humans don't stand a chance against the divine beasts." Lacey replied, "Of course they don't. Humans aren't very clever, and divine beasts are really strong." Midget said, But humans can bake delicious cookies. They're much better at baking than divine beasts, that's for sure." Lacey said, "While the divine beasts were powerful, humans outnumbered them. After a number of meaningless battles, both parties agreed to call a truce. After all, the fighting was detrimental to both sides." Midget said, "The divine beasts said humans were like pesky little ants crawling up your feet. You can kill one by stepping on it, but then 10 more will swarm in. It's a nuisance." Lacey shouted, "Ack! Princess Blondina." Blondina said, "If there's a peace treaty, they should get along." "Why don't they?" Midget said, "It's because of what happened 500 years ago. A descendant of Barahan, the only god who could control the divine beasts, appeared." Blondina said, "And? They made a deal with the royal family, who then began killing every divine beast they could find. It was basically a massacre. Blondina thinks massacred to near extinction. If they had been wiped out, Amon would not be here." Lacey said, "But a divine beast reached adulthood and managed to kill the descendant of Barahan. And that divine beast was a black leopard." Blondina said, "A black leopard?" Lacey said, "Yes, like Amon. But this black leopard apparently became frenzied during the battle. It didn't stop after killing the descendant of Barahan, but went on a killing spree. Many humans lost their lives. It even tried to kill the other members of the divine leopard clan. Eventually the humans and the divine beasts came together to defeat the divine black leopard." Blondina said, "This all happened because of one black leopard?" Lacey said, "Yes. After all, he was powerful enough to kill the descendant of a god. Anyway, the divine beasts and humans signed another peace treaty so they could join forces and overpower the black leopard. So it's a strange sort of peace. Blondina thinks I had no idea. I just thought divine beasts were simply the defenders of the empire. Was this why the other baby leopards were picking on Amon that time?" Blondina said, "So, what happened to that black leopard?" Lacey said, "I have no idea. Some say it died. Others say it lost its divine powers and became a simple beast. Nobody knows for sure, as it's never been seen again since." A maid entered the room and said, "Excuse me, Your Highness. You've received a gift." Blondina said, "A gift?" The maid replied, "Yes, it's from Duke Rodson's family." Blondina thinks, "Is it from Philip? A letter?" Midget said, "What does it say?" Huh! Who sent it, and why?" Blondina said, "It's from someone named Philip. He's going abroad to study." Midget said, "Wow, this looks expensive. And pretty. Can I have it?" Blondina thinks must have been pretty expensive, given its size and sparkle. If he, who's not even of age yet, can easily gift me something this valuable, the Rodsons must really be as rich as people say. Philip thinks she must have received the gift by now. Blondina, a half-blood princess. But her gaze is clear and direct. When she said that the fact they come from good families doesn't give them the right to look down on her or insult her, While thoroughly uneducated, she is also surprisingly self-assured. When she said if you have something to say it to my face, she also became fluent in Old Etesian in a matter of months and put Adelia in her place. How amusing that was to witness. And then, she pushed me away with a smile on her face. When Blondina said from now on, please refrain from coming to see me or inviting me to parties, and I replied pardon? It was the most thrilling rejection I'd ever experienced. I felt my heart pound for the very first time. That in itself was more than enough. I did not want to let go of the first spark of excitement in my otherwise hollow life. Once I return to the Empire after completing my studies, I will go to Blondina. Although I won't be able to see her for a few years, I'm not concerned. There is not a single man in this empire foolish enough to marry a princess without any prestige or power. The nobles won't approach her, they'll be discomfited by her impure bloodline, and the emperor will be too proud to marry her off to a family of lower rank. She'll end up living a lonely life in one of the smaller, isolated palaces. But I would be able to give to Blondina my noble lineage, and the sizable power and wealth of my family. The poor princess, abandoned by her father and mistreated by her family, will be able to live happily ever after by my side. And with my family's backing, she could even set her sights on the throne. I've gotten everything I've ever wanted in life. Blondina will be no different. Blondina said life is funny sometimes. What is that shiny trinket? Majet said Ak. You scared me. Blondina said you've been coming by quite often these days. Aman said what is that thing? She replied it was a gift. Aman said someone gave it to you? She replied yep. Aman said why? No clue. Just because. Aman said you really like it, huh? Blondina said sure. After all, it was a free gift. Aman said but when I gave you Majet you screamed. Blondina said yeah. You weren't very happy to see me. Well, I thought Majet was dead. Anyway, what do you think? Does it look good on me? Aman said it's pretty. Blondina said I wish I were rich, too. Then I'd be able to buy a bejeweled collar for your neck. Eh, Aman? Blondina said Lucy, what do I do when a divine beast steals my jewelry? Blondina thinks it's been a week since Aman ran off with my bracelet. I wonder why he did it. Did he want my bracelet? And is he not coming back to visit because he feels bad for stealing it? He shouldn't feel bad. Aman is so much more precious to me than a bracelet. Blondina said I'm curious, though, why did he take it? Desire. Greed. Materialism. Lacey said I'll be heading back now, princess. Magetto said I'll be leaving too. Blondina thinks it's so quiet, with everybody gone. I wonder if Aman will come by tomorrow. Come to think of it, I don't even know where he lives. I hope he comes by tomorrow. I hear there's another war. What's happening? Take this sword and restore peace to these lands, Barahan. Fight for the humans. A dream? I'm too tired. Who are these people? Leave it to me. I'm suffocating. I can't breathe. Feels like someone is crushing me. Who is it? Blondina said Aman? Wake up. Blondina said guess it was just a dream. Aman said where are you going? Blondina said I need to wash up. I'm back, Aman. Long time no see. Aman said yep. Blondina said oh, what's that? Aman said it's nothing. Blondina said is it for me? Aman said well, Blondina said where did you get this? You didn't steal it, did you? Aman said you dare accuse me, a divine beast, of theft? Blondina thinks well, you did take my bracelet. Blondina thinks did he lose the bracelet, and bring this ring as a replacement? That must be it. But I didn't think Aman would feel guilt over something like that. Blondina thinks thank you. It's a little loose on me though, and I don't want to lose it. I guess I'll wear it on a necklace instead. Aman said really? I can give you a necklace too. Blondina said huh? No, that's okay. I already have one. She thinks I have the necklace my father gave me recently. Speaking of, it feels like my father is treating me differently these days. Out of the blue, he replaced all the furniture in this palace. He also gave me a necklace as a gift, for no particular reason. Maybe it's because of the talk we had in the garden the other day. Still, his sudden interest in me doesn't really change anything. I really wish he'd stop paying attention to me. Aman said, don't meet with that guy anymore. Blondina said, huh? Amen said, that human boy. I can give you presents, so don't accept his letters either. Blondina said, why aren't you answering? Is it me or him? Aman said, tell him not to ever come near you. You're a princess, right? Use your power to keep him away. Blondina said, haha, is the son of a duke. He's probably more powerful than I am. Aman said, I'll give you the power you need. She said, how? Aman said, I'll make a scene in front of the emperor. I'll say I have your back, and break everything in sight. Blondina said, don't worry. The Marquis won't be visiting me. He's going somewhere far away. He left? Blondina said, yes, he's starting his studies abroad. He won't be back for a while, so there's no need for you to worry about him. Aman smiled and said, is that so? Blondina said, oh, Aman, and what do you mean, choose between you and him? There's no contest. Aman replied, so, it's me then? Blondina said, of course. Stop asking silly questions. Aman replied, okay, that's fine then. Lacey said, good morning, princess. It's a lovely day today. Blondina said, it sure is, Lucy. Did you sleep well? What is that you're carrying? Lacey said, oh, I asked for something, and our maid brought it over today. Blondina said, here, Aman. What the hell? How do you like the scent? Lacey said, I heard cats like this plant, so I thought I'd bring you some. Blondina thinks, Aman? She said, Aman, are your fangs okay? Aman played with something. She said, Aman, is it me, or that branch? Amen, in human figure, she shouted, Aman? Amen said, of course it's you, Briddy, and he teased her. Blondina thinks this is very different from how he usually acts whenever he's in human form. That branch must be why he's behaving so strangely. Blondina said, El liar. You were really into that branch earlier. Amen said, no, Briddy. It's you, only you, she thinks for some reason. Shivers are running down my spine. Aman said, Ack. You scared me, Magetto. What? What did I do? A man bowed and said greetings to the royal family of Atesh. Blondina thinks Atesh recently signed a trade agreement with the kingdom of Sicila. Blondina said, we welcome the visitors of Sicila. Please enjoy your stay. She thinks in commemoration, the prince and several nobles of Sicila had made an official visit to Atesh. While it was not a major event, the entire royal family had gathered to greet the guests. The man kissed her hand and replied, how graceful and refined your prince and princesses are, your majesty. They must bring you great joy. Adelia shouts, eek. The man said, these snakes don't bite people. It is smarter than most humans, so there's no need to be afraid. Adelia said, I am not scared. The duke said, how dignified of you, Blondina. You've truly become a royal. Blondina said, thank you, your majesty. It's all thanks to your care and guidance. Adelia thinks this is so unfair. She's probably only unafraid because she's used to living on the streets. Adelia said, I'm embarrassed that I got scared, your majesty. I suppose it is because I am not familiar with this kind of situation. The duke said, Adelia, it looks like you still have a bit of growing up to do. Until then, I will continue to keep you safe. Blondina thinks it felt good to get his approval, but I still feel like an outsider, not a member of this family, and ultimately, these throwaway compliments don't amount to much. Aman? Was he worried that I'd be ignored or made fun of like before? What a unique person he is. He acts moody and cranky all the time, but still makes sure that I'm okay. Like family. I wonder what the real meaning of family is. Is it someone I can always call on and be comforted by? I miss Aman. Aman said, Blondina. Blondina replied, Aman? How long have you been sitting there? Aman said, I got bored after you left, so I came here. Aman thinks actually, I followed you right out. She said, hey, are those tears in your eyes? Blondina hugged him and said, Aman. He replied, whoa. She thinks I'm so glad to have Aman by my side. Meow. A man said, Princess Blondina? What are you doing out here? And what's that black bundle in your arms? Blondina said, bundle. It's my pet cat. Isn't he cute? Sorry, I thought that you had already left. The man said, oh, I just wanted to enjoy the palace gardens a bit before I leave. It's truly amazing. But actually, she shouts Kya. The man said, I'm glad to hear you have a pet too. My pet is quite shy. I can't believe it went straight to you. The man smiled and said, or maybe I can. You're very beautiful, princess, so perhaps it's only natural that animals flock to you. Aman said, shy my ass? It got right in her face. Blondina said, Aman, he's the same color as you are. Aman? Don't do that. Blondina shouts Aman. Lart said, huh? Who are they? The man replied to Lart, oh, it's Princess Blondina and Lucy, her lady-in-waiting. Looks like they're out on a picnic. Queen said, as a prince, you need to learn to better control your emotions. How do you expect to be able to rule the empire with such a fickle temperament? People were looking at him, and one of them said, that reminds me, Marquis, I heard your son speaking Old Etesian the other day. He's very fluent. The man replied, haha, you're too kind. It's really nothing special. I'm almost embarrassed to hear him praised over something so trivial. I mean, Old Etesian is a fundamental skill, is it not? Indeed, a noble who can't grasp something as rudimentary as Old Etesian. He may as well be a commoner. Why, Marquis, you have such a wicked tongue. Ha! Lart threw the drink on them and said, you insolent fools. Eek. Marquis. They knew I wasn't fluent in Old Etesian, and intentionally brought up the Marquis's son to humiliate me. If it came from a place of ignorance, they needed to be taught a lesson. And if it was done on purpose, all the more reason for them to be punished for their insolence. Queen said, even so, the prince of an empire should not be reacting by throwing tea around like a common ruffian. Take some time to reflect on your actions today. Lart kicked the ground and said, humph. He thinks those underhanded nobles, uttering empty words of flattery to my face, while jeering and ridiculing me behind my back. Nasty, tiresome buggers. Vilt said, I heard you requested to transfer to a different palace. Lart thinks that sounds like Blondina's lady-in-waiting? Lacey said, I don't understand. Is there something the matter? Vilt replied, Lacey, the princess has been nothing but kind to you. Remember when you broke her favorite cup? She didn't even reprimand you. And she'd always provide you with sweets for you to bring home to your sister. Lart saw them and thinks, I see what's going on here. Servants are ranked according to the position of the people they work under. Considering Blondina's position in the royal family, it's only natural that the maid would want to work elsewhere. Vilt said, I'm sorry, but I've made up my mind. Lart hears them and thinks nobles, servants, they're all the same. They only stick around to take advantage of you, and will stab you in the back as soon as they decide they no longer need you. Lacey said, you should leave this palace too, Lady Lucy, as soon as possible. Good day. Lart thinks, Lucy Heriv. Don't you realize you're the anomaly here? Why do you remain loyal to Blondina, a princess with no political power or authority whatsoever? Lucy Heriv, lady-in-waiting for Blondina, the spurned princess, and the daughter of the declining Heriv family. All she has to offer are her integrity and loyalty to Blondina, and a pretty face. What am I thinking? The way she moves, with an understated grace. The soft smile always playing about her lips. The slight lowering of her eyes whenever she addresses me, the prince. In his sleep, Lart said, Lucy Heriv, damn it! Lart stood and said, I can't be with someone like her. I can't be crushing on her. Lart thinks, sitting on the bed, I'm already under constant threat from Adelia, who clearly has her sights set on becoming empress. I need to be with someone who has the power and influence to help me secure the throne. After all, for royals, marriage is nothing but a card to be played on the negotiation table. Another day, Lacey said, look at Aman purr. Ha! He really looks your average kitten when he's like this. Blondina said, yeah? Lacey replied, oh. I heard there will be a national horseback riding competition being held soon. Horseback riding? Magetto said, what is horseback riding? Blondina said, a horseback riding competition? Lacey said, yes. Princess, do you like horseback riding? Blondina said, I'm not sure, I've never actually ridden a horse before, so, Lacey said, well, there's a place to practice nearby. Would you like to go take a look? Blondina said. Lucy, did you hear what I said? Sure. Both said wow. Blondina said this place is huge. Lart saw them and thinks Lucy Hariv? What is she doing here? Lacey said I think people look so elegant when they're on a horse. Blondina said I agree. Aman said what's so great about that? It's nothing special. Lacey said really? I think it looks very impressive. Aman said you're hanging on the back of a horse? You think that's impressive? Aman said look at this. Lacey said see? Moving with your own 4 feet is way more impressive. Haha, you're right, Aman. You're very impressive. Aman said of course. Blondina thinks Aman must really want to impress Lucy. He shouted arf. Lart thinks I fell off my horse and sprained my ankle because I was distracted by a girl. How pathetic. Blondina said Lart. Lacey said Prince Lart. Blondina said are you okay? Lart replied don't make a fuss. This is Nath. Blondina said huh? Lacey clenched her hands and said are you okay, Your Highness? Lart said. Yeah, and my leg gave out, that's all. Lacey said your ankle appears to be quite swollen. Please sit down for a second. Excuse me, Your Highness. The injury doesn't look too serious. I think I can do some emergency first aid. This is just a temporary fix, Your Highness, so please get some proper treatment as soon as you return to the palace. Lart said don't worry about it. Lacey said by the way, where are your servants? Are you here by yourself? Lart said I am not a child. If a prince wants to go riding alone, he can. No need to drag all the servants along. Stop bothering me and go away. I can make it back on my own. Ugh. He's going to need our help. Lacey said here, lean on me. Lart said what am I going to do? Lart lying on the bed thinks what do I do, father? I need to follow in your footsteps and become emperor. Duke said Prince Lart, there is no greater threat to the empire than a powerless emperor. People like us don't have the luxury of indulging in such frivolities as love. Lart thinks what should I do, father? I think I'm falling for Lucy. Another side, Lacey said Princess, may I come in? Blondina said yes, you may. Lacey said I brought you your new shoes. Lacey wearing the shoes said I think we need to throw all of your old shoes out. She said yeah? Guess I've outgrown them. What if I continue growing and get so big that I end up getting stuck in the doorway? Aman said like that'd really happen. Blondina said speaking of Aman, when do you grow up? Or do divine beasts just stay this small and cute? Aman said I'm sure I'll get bigger, eventually. Lacey said well then, I'll be off now. Blondina said okay, get home safe. Don't forget, we're meeting up at dawn. Aemon replied Lucy, you're going already? Blondina said are you disappointed that Lucy's leaving? I'll play with you instead. Aman said Ak. Magetto said yikes. What is it? Is it an earthquake? Am I going to die? I haven't even had dinner yet. Aemon said here we go. Blondina cleaned her leg and said Aman. Blondina thinks now that he's grown up he doesn't accept my affections as readily. Won't even let me hug him anymore. Magetto said Aman, what's that look on your face? Did you get in trouble with the head of the elders? Blondina thinks does he really like Lucy? Is that why he's not comfortable when he's alone with me? He's still the same cute baby leopard in my eyes. Magetto said I told you to listen to me, you birdbrain. I'll give you a taste of my claws. Lacey said wake up princess. You wanted to go see the glow-in-the-dark mushrooms. Oh my. Lacey thinks I intruder. I need to alert the knights. Wait, is that a gemstone? Could it be? Blondina sleeping on the bed, Aemon near her, touching her hair said see? I told you I'd grow up one day. Another day, Aisha said Aman. Aemon replied hello, great elder Aisha. Aisha said look at you, lying about, knowing full well that I was coming to visit you. So, have you decided who you want to observe your coming-of-age ritual? Aemon replied I'm not sure. Aisha said usually one's parents would serve as observers, but in your case, I could participate instead. Eamon said, I'm thinking of having a member of the royal family participate. Aisha said, the human royal family? Eamon said, that's right. I thought it might be interesting to be congratulated by a human. Aisha said, there certainly is precedence for this. But are you alright with giving such an honor to a mere human? Eamon thinks a member of the royal family. I'm thinking of blonde Ina. Of course. Eamon said, it's fine. I don't care that much about the ritual, anyway. And since those royals look down on us and see us as nothing more than animals, forcing one of them to visit the forest of the divine beasts would show them who's really in charge around here. Aisha said, that's not a bad idea. Why don't you then invite the emperor himself? Eamon replied, no, not him. I'll ask his firstborn to participate. After all, I'm the firstborn, too, of the leader of the divine leopards. Aisha said, Aman? Aisha said, after Hala, Shanti, and you undergo the ritual, we will choose a new leader. Eamon replied, oh, you mean that ceremonial duel you mentioned? Aisha replied, yes, I was planning to hold it as soon as you came of age. After all, we have not had a leader since your mother died 10 years ago. Eamon said, I see, and remember, do not kill your opponent. Why? Because I'm a black leopard, you're worried that I'll become frenzied like that beast had. Aisha replied, deny it. Eamon said, well, rest assured, if I ever get close to that point during the duel, I'll just forfeit on the spot. Eamon thinks I will never be like them. I am nothing like that bloodthirsty beast. Plus, I have no desire whatsoever to go on a sadistic killing spree. Come to think of it, Aisha said, how long are you planning to stay in that form? Eamon replied, I want to look cute. Plus, being small makes it easier to move around. Aisha said, very well. I'll be off now then. Good night, little leopard. Aman replied, yes, yes. The cute baby leopard is going to bed now. Another day, Queen said, what troubles you, your majesty? Duke replied, the divine leopard clan has requested that I send my firstborn to serve as an observer at their upcoming ritual. But I don't feel comfortable sending a royal to a beast ceremony. Queen said, although they are mere beasts, they are strong, we cannot yet risk antagonizing them. For now, I believe we should comply with their request. But I am relieved that we do not have to send our children into those beasts' forest. Duke said, Blondina Ryan Atesh is also my child. Queen said, your majesty, do you mean? Dormant said, your majesty, Princess Blondina has arrived. Duke said, she may enter? Blondina entered the room and said, eternal glory to the great emperor and empress of Atesh. You called for me? Duke replied, the divine leopard clan is to hold a ritual in the coming days. Blondina said, I see. Duke said, we've received word that the clan wishes for you to participate in the ritual as an observer. She said, what? Duke said, although there is some risk, I doubt you will come to harm there, as the beasts themselves have invited you. Will you attend? Blondina replied, I will. Queen said, what are you doing, still standing there? You may leave now. Blondina replied, yes, ma'am. Eternal glory to the emperor and empress. And she bowed and went away. Adelia said, what? Blondina will be participating in a ceremony held by the divine beasts? Maid replied, yes, princess. Apparently the divine leopard clan sent a request to the emperor to send his firstborn as an observer for their ritual. Adelia said, ha. Not only is she hogging father's attention, now she's upstaging me with the divine beasts, too. She thinks, Blondina, you worthless bitch, how dare you? Adelia said, You. Maid replied, yes, your highness. Adelia said, keep a close eye on Blondina. If she does anything suspicious, it may present a prime opportunity for me to teach her a lesson. Aman said, an observer? What's that? You'd be sitting next to me during the ritual, not along, helping me out, things like that. Blondina replied, Are you sure you're okay with me attending? It sounds like an important ceremony. Aman said, important? Not really. Every other divine beast does it. Anyways, what are you doing? Blondina laughing said, haha, I'm stamping my seal on the letter I'm sending to Lucy. But you should have given me a heads up about this first. I was so shocked when the emperor summoned me and asked me to go to the forest of the divine beasts. Aman said, Blondina, regarding my coming-of-age ceremony, Aman, this blue ribbon looks so good on you. Last week. Aman said I did mention it. You didn't hear me because you were too busy tying that ribbon around my neck. Blondina replied, oh really? Do I need to prepare anything? I don't want to make any mistakes during such an important event. Amen said no. Trust me, I'll take care of everything. Blondina said so I should trust you, because you'll take care of everything? That almost sounds like a marriage proposal. What are you talking about? I'm just saying I'll take care of you when you're there as an observer. Why are you so shocked? I was just kidding. Because people proposing marriage usually say, let's get married. Trust me, I'll take care of everything. Well, that's what commoners say during a proposal. Blondina said I just threw that out there, since there's so much talk of marriage going around these days. Why do you look so uncomfortable? Amen replied it's nothing. Blondina said come to think of it, Lucy is currently receiving bridal lessons. Although she has no potential suitors at the moment. Amen shouts what? Lucy? Lucy's doing what? Blondina thinks wow, Aman. You're totally overreacting. Somehow, that irritates me. Amen said hey, does this mean both you and Lucy are at a marriageable age? Blondina said yep. Aman said really? Blondina replied yes really? Is that right? Blondina thinks Aman is as white as a sheet. Is it that shocking to hear that Lucy might get married? Amen said if she's at a marriageable age. After the coming of age ceremony, Blondina said what? I can't hear you, Aman. Amen said why do you people get married so early? Amen said early? It's about time, since we're adults now. Amen said we don't mate early like you humans do. Blondina said why? Aman said because the purpose of mating is to have children. But we need to go into heat first. Of course, it could happen before that. Perhaps, Bridie would be okay with that. Blondina said Aman, you've been talking to yourself for a while now. I can't hear a word you're saying. She thinks Aman's acting really weird today. Is it because he's 18 years old now? I guess divine beasts have rapid mood swings at that age, too, just like humans, even if they still look like babies. Blondina said come to think of it, when does this ritual take place, Aman? Amen replied oh that? In 3 days I think. Blondina said 3 days? That's so soon. She thinks it's so sudden, Duke said Blondina. Blondina thinks the Emperor came to see me off as I was departing the castle. Blondina said Your Majesty, what are you doing here? Duke said to wish you safe travels. Blondina replied, thank you, Your Majesty. Blondina said he's still standing there. She thinks the complicated array of emotions I felt from the unexpected send-off lingered on until my arrival at the forest of the divine beasts. Kitty said wow, I've never seen a human before. Is this person your observer, Aman? Kitty said it feels more special to have a human, rather than a divine beast, as your observer. Yeah, more special. Blondina said ha ha ha. Blondina thinks this ritual. I guess Aman isn't the only one doing it. And thus the ceremony began. Although Aman had briefly explained to me what the ceremony would entail, it's still nerve-wracking. Poker face. The participants of today's ritual are 3 baby leopards. The observers are seated across from them. And the mature divine beasts surround them. They use their sharp fangs to draw blood from their own bodies, which they then smear on the foreheads of the baby leopards. I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. Today is Aman's special day. I'm here to observe and support him. Animals said now that they have received the blood of all the divine beasts. Aman, Shanti, Hala. Congratulations, you are now official members of the Divine Leopard Clan. Congrats. Aman, congratulations on becoming a part of the Divine Leopard Clan. We look forward to seeing you grow and mature further. Aman thinks the ritual is finally over. Aman said okay, let's go. Bridie? Blondina thinks with the cries of the divine beasts filling the forest, it finally occurs to me that Aman, too, is a member of this great and terrifying clan of divine beasts. I'm still. Aman said Bridie. Blondina said oh? Aman asked. Man, it's over? She thinks that's right. She hugs him and thinks I'm safe with Aman. Aman said be Bridie? Blodina thinks he always looks at me with such kind eyes. Blodina said congrats, Aman. Hee hee. Now that the ritual's over, what's next? Aman said the H-human, she seems tired, so I'll put her to bed. Blodina thinks I shouldn't be so chummy with a member of the royal family here. Blodina said, Aman, now that we've left the ceremony, Aman said, where would we sleep? There's nothing but trees all around, at my house. Blodina said, you have a house? Aman replied, of course I do. We're not mere beasts, you know. Since we hate sleeping on the damp ground after it rains, we made humans build houses for us. Blodina replied, I see, she thinks I assumed they'd live in the wild, like other animals, and said of course. Blodina thinks I didn't see Aman's parents. They weren't at the ceremony, so I guess they're not around? She said, do you live by yourself then? Aman replied, yep. Blodina thinks I've known this little leopard for years, yet only found out today that he's all alone. Blodina said, hey, come to think of it, those little leopards from earlier, they were the ones you were with when you fell off the cliff, right? Yeah. But they didn't seem to recognize me. Aman said they probably didn't. All humans tend to look the same to us. Blodina said, really? Do I look like every other human to you too? Aman said, of course not. You're you. Blodina thinks, what does he mean? You're you? It almost sounds like I'm someone special to Aman. She said, wow. It's beautiful. Aman, do you clean the house yourself? Aman said, of course. The elders used to when I was much younger, but now I take care of the place myself. Blodina said. Aman replied, I turn into human form and sweep the place. Why don't you wash up? You must be tired. The bathroom is over there. Aman said, sounds great. My body feels stiff from kneeling all night long. Blodina said, why are you taking your clothes off? What do you mean, why? To wash up. Aman said, yeah, but why are you taking them off here? Blodina replied, I just loosened my shoulder straps a bit. They were cutting into my skin and hurting my back and shoulders. Blodina thinks, huh? I was just going to loosen the straps here and undress in the bathroom. But Aman looks so flustered, I really want to tease him. Blodina said, Aman, why are you acting so embarrassed? Aman said, just hurry and go wash up. Blodina said, you're all naked too. I mean, you're only covered in black fur, aren't you? Neen? Neen? Aman said, if you keep that up, I'll stay naked in my human form too. She replied, haha. She thinks Aman in human form. Come to think of it, I haven't seen it in a while. Raven black hair and beautiful violet eyes. Shapely pink lips. In his human form, he is certainly an ethereally beautiful boy. Wouldn't blink an eye, even if Aman stripped in front of me. Blodina said, whatever. I'm off to wash up. Are you laughing at me? Tremble. How dare you? Amen thinks you don't even know why I can't transform into my human form in front of you. In human form, he said, I'm trying so hard to hold back, you know. Blodina said, Aman? Why are you still awake? Aman replied, it's nothing. Go back to sleep. Blodina said, okay. Aman said, hey, Briddy? Who is it? Who's the asshole that traumatized you? Blodina said, Aman? You know I grew up poor, right? I chose to work at an inn as a means of survival. It was either that or be sold off to some creep. I'd rather have died than to go through that. The innkeeper knew this very well. That no matter what he did, I wouldn't be able to leave my job at the inn. He knocked me around, like one would kick a pebble lying on the street. My 8th birthday was the worst. A friendly neighbor gave me a cookie for my birthday. A tall man said, what are you smiling for, you useless brat? She said, ow. The man kicked him and said, you should greet our guests like that. Your gloomy expressions are chasing all the guests away. She shouted, Ack. Sir. I'm sorry. She said, you're a complete waste of space. Man shouts, where are you going, you little rat? As soon as I got home, I ate the cookie, not even bothering to wipe the blood running down my nose. It was covered in sand, so it hurt my teeth when I bit into it, but it was still delicious. Blodina said it was so good. Aman said, Briddy, let's go back there, together. She said, huh? Go and face your fears. You need to see in person how weak and powerless he really is. Aman said, when you've overcome your fears, I'll show you the real me. Blondina said, I cried so much I have no energy left. Aman said, thanks for telling me your story. She replied, yeah. I did my best to stay put at that inn, but that innkeeper still tried to sell me off to some perverted baron. So I ran away, then I met the emperor, and I met you, so it's all good. She sleeps. Aman in human form said, Bridie, I'll do whatever it takes to become the clan leader. And once I do, with you, I'll… Another day, Blondina and Aman ride on the horse. Blondina said, Aman, are you tired? Aman replied, yeah. Blondina said, I guess you had trouble sleeping, since you're sensitive to your sleep surroundings. Aman said, I'm not sensitive, you're just dense. I guess so. I can sleep anywhere, as soon as my head hits the pillow. Aman replied, no, that's not what I mean. She said, huh? Aman said, never mind. Blondina said, hang in there, we just need to get to the other side of the forest. Aman said, you must be out of your mind, traveling on your own. Blondina said, give us everything you have. People are waiting for her. One of them said, actually, never mind. We'll strip you down and find it for ourselves. Another replied, haha, sounds good. Third said, we thought this would be a tough job, since it was from a noble. But one girl on her own? This is easy peasy. Blondina, dismount from your horse. Blondina shouts, what? Aman said, it's okay, just do as I say. Blondina said, Aman, what are you going to do? Aman said, hey, go have some fun. People are saying what the hell? Horse fight her and killed off all men. Do something about that horse. Help me. Name, Daisy. Age, unknown. Birthplace, Sacred Mountain. Species, horse. Blondina said, Aman, you told me Daisy was frail and gentle. Aman replied, she's really enjoying herself. A man stood up and said, what is this? Blondina saw him and thinks he's golden-eyed? Blondina thinks his eyes, they're golden? Man shouts, irk. Aman said, let's get going. It'll be troublesome if they come too. Blondina said, oh okay. Blondina thinks it's the first time I've seen a person with golden eyes, other than my mom. My hometown, a place filled with treasured memories of my mother, and the place that continues to haunt me in my nightmares. Aman said, Bridie, hold me. My bad-tempered yet kind-hearted little cat. A boy shouts, hello. You must be a visitor. Blondina thinks, is that Hans? The youngest son of the cobbler, who lived at the end of the alley. Blondina thinks, does he not recognize me? Blondina said, hello. Boy named Hans said, hey, are you a tourist? Or perhaps here to visit family? Blondina replied, just traveling. Hans clenched his hand and said, you'll be looking for accommodations then, right? I can take you to the inn. It's located deep within the village, so it's a bit hard to find. Blondina replied, thank you. She thinks, as far as I know, this little village only has one inn. She pushed the door and came in. Tableman said, welcome. Are you staying the night? Or here for a meal? Blondina thinks this man doesn't recognize me either. That's right. I've changed. I am no longer the weak little girl you used to beat on. When the man said, ma'am? To think that I was ever terrified by this pathetic, sniveling coward. Why have I been so afraid? A woman said, oh, is it a guest? Are you looking for a room? How long do you plan on staying? Would you like to take a look at the available rooms? Man said, yes, please look around before you make up your mind. Woman said, let me show you the way. Follow me. Man said, the best room in our inn happens to be available at the moment. The vase is empty. Woman replied, but we can place some fresh flowers in it for you. Woman shouts, Blondina? Man said, Blondina, it's you, isn't it? Woman said, oh my. What in the world are you doing here? Are you back for good? Man said, what? It's Blondina? I thought she was the daughter of a nobleman. It really is you, Blondina. After you disappeared, there were rumors that you'd been sold off to human traffickers. Guess you got sold off to some rich noble as his plaything? I know your type. That nobleman abandoned you, didn't he? And now that you've spent some time with nobility, you think you can act all high and mighty. But you had nowhere else to go after you were kicked out by that noble, so you came crawling back here. The man clenched the hand of Blondina. Aman shouts, "You!" Blondina said, "Take your hands off me." Man said, "What?" Blondina slapped his face. Woman said, "Good Lord." Man shouts, "What in the world, you insolent little." Blondina said, "Go on, hit me. If you're not afraid of the consequences." Man said, "What?" Blondina replied, "Go ahead. Why aren't you hitting me? Are you scared? I guess it's finally getting through your thick skull. How strange. You used to beat me continuously in the past. Did you ever regret physically abusing me as a kid? Or think back and realize what you'd done back then was wrong? Of course you didn't. I am considering punishing a particularly vile and unscrupulous vulgarian. Do you think I could do it? I think I probably could. Actually, I know I can. And I will." Blondina stepped back and said, "Having said that, I'll be looking forward to my 4-day stay here. Why are you just standing there? Take me to my room." Woman said, "Oh, I'm sorry." Man bowed and said, "Please forgive me for mistreating you in the past." Blondina shouts, "No, I won't forgive you." She went to the room. Aman said, "Good job, Bridie." She replied, "Hee, thanks, Aman." Aman thinks maybe I should just kill them. Another day, a woman was cooking and she said, "Why in the world am I doing this?" Blondina said, "Bring me a new bowl." She replied, "What? But this is already the 3rd bowl." Blondina said, "So? You don't want to do it?" The woman said, "No, I'll make a fresh batch right away." The woman thinks, ungrateful brat. We're the ones who took her in. She was nothing but a servant. How dare she bully us like this? Blondina said, "Perfect timing." The woman said, "Why? What's happening?" A man said, "She says she wants to give us a gift for taking care of her for all those years." The woman said, "A gift? She thinks that's more like it. After everything we did for you." Blondina said, "That's right. It's a special present, just for you too." Aman said, "Maybe no one's in?" Blondina replied, Let's wait a bit longer. I can't leave empty-handed." The man said, "Can I help you? We've got a while to go until we're open for the day." Blondina said, "Are you Jax?" Jax replied, "Who are you?" Blondina replied, "You hold the mortgage rights to Nordy's Inn, do you not?" Jax replied, "What?" "Why yes, that's correct," she said, "I'd like to buy it from you." Jax said, "Huh?" Blondina said, "Well?" The man said, "What?" Blondina said, "As you can see, I am in possession of the deed to this inn." The man said, Jax is supposed to have this. This is you unbelievable." Blondina said, "I don't care if you believe it or not, it won't change anything. I am now the rightful owner of this inn. And I'd like you to vacate the premises. I plan on giving this inn to my maid as a thank you gift for all her hard work." The man said, Please have mercy. We can't pay for the deed yet, but if you could just be a little patient with us, we'll eventually pay, I swear. If you kick us out of here, we have nowhere else to go." Blondina said, she thinks past. When the man said, "Hey, why are you sniffling so loudly?" She said, "Sir, could I take the day off? I feel really unwell." And the man shouts, "Suck it up, we only took you in exchange for you working here every single day." When Blondina said to him, "But I'm really dizzy, and my body aches. So what?" The man said, "If you don't want to be sold off, get back to work right now." In the present, Blondina said, "So what?" "If you don't have the money, do whatever you can to pay off the debt." The woman said, "Oh," the man requested, Blondina said, "I'm going to bed. Pack up all of your belongings and be prepared to leave by tomorrow." The man thinks, that evil bitch. Damned wench. Not too long ago, she was nothing more than a dirt poor orphan. How dare she? The man said, Blondina, that little naive, spoiled brat, snotty tart. Bet you're fast asleep, not knowing what you've got coming. The man covered her mouth. "I'll take my sweet time with you, I'll kill you slowly and painfully. I've got all night." Eamon, in human form, sitting in the window, said, "Yes, that's more like it." The man turned and thinks, what? Who is that? Eamon, in animal form, said, "Bridie, wake up. she replied. Aman said, "Wake up. I'm hungry." Blondina said, "5 more minutes." Aman said, "Hurry and wash up so we can go have breakfast." "I'm starving." Blondina said, "Why are you so hungry this morning? Did you do an early morning workout or something?" Aman said, "Just go and wash up." Blondina replied, "Okay." A woman crying said, In the morning, I found my husband's blood everywhere." Blondina said, "What's going on?" A man said, "There was an accident. The owner of the inn was attacked last night. It looks like an armed robbery, but we're not yet certain." Blondina said, "Robbers?" Aman replied, "Forget about the innkeeper. Let's go get some food, Briddy." "Are you, by any chance, sad about what happened to the innkeeper?" Blondina said, "No, of course not." The woman crying said, "My husband was injured. With everything that's happened, you wouldn't kick us out now, would you? If you even had a shred of a conscience." Blondina said, "Why should I? It's not like it was my fault that Nordy got hurt." The woman shouts, "You heartless bitch. If I knew you'd betray us like this, we would never have taken you in." Blondina thinks, "Taken me in?" In the past, when Blondina said, "Ma'am, could I go home for the day? I'm feeling very dizzy and nauseous." The woman said, "You're going to scare our guests away with that horrid countenance. Go to the kitchen and finish doing the dishes. Hurry up. The dirty dishes are piling up back there." Blondina said, "You took me in, you say? All you two did was abuse and take advantage of a naive little child. And if I had really been seeking revenge, both of you would already be dead." The woman said, "What do you mean?" Aman said, "You think I'd be satisfied with taking your inn away and evicting you? If you want to leave with your lives intact, don't test me any further. You both had it coming." Blondina said, "After all, you reap what you sow. Let's leave this town once we've had some breakfast." Tears appeared on her face. She said, "This was more than enough. I want to leave this forsaken place." Aman said, "Briddy, good job. Those two will be miserable for the rest of their lives, a fate worse than death. So don't have any regrets about what you did." Blondina said, "You know what, Aman? I'm not afraid of Nordy anymore. I think it really is over." Aman said, "Over? For me, Briddy, this is just the beginning." Blondina said, "Huh? What do you mean?" "You'll see. Soon, everything will come to pass." Lard said, "Hey, Blondina? How was the ritual? Is it true that divine beasts are as large as boulders?" Blondina said, "Yes. The head elder of the divine beasts was much larger than any of the statues of divine beasts we've seen." Lard said, "Damn. I wanted to go to the forest of the divine beasts too, you know. Why were you the only one invited anyway? I'm the prince and heir apparent, so I should have been invited. Why'd they invite a half-blood royal like you? It doesn't make sense." Blondina replied, "I think it's because I'm friends with the divine beast." Lard thinks, Blondina, protected by the divine beasts. Adele, who's got her eye on the crown, is a constant threat, and Blondina has a close relationship with the divine beasts. At this rate, will I even be able to succeed to the throne? Duke came in and said, "Princess?" Blondina bowed and replied, "Greetings to your majesty, the empire's shining sun." Lard said, "Your majesty." Duke said, "Did the divine beasts treat you with respect?" Blondina replied, "Oh yes. They welcomed me wholeheartedly." Duke said, "You look more and more like her with each passing day." She replied. Blondina thinks, "My father's warm gaze and touch. Before that was all mine. Why in the world is he paying attention to that half-blood wench? I have no intention of sharing power, or my father's affections, with you. But how in the world did she manage to return without a scratch? I made my orders clear, so why didn't those useless thugs do their jobs?" Adelia thinks, "I'll need to have them brought here soon, so I can find out why." Blondina said, "Aman, I can't believe I won't be seeing my cute little leopard for a month." Aman said, "Briddy, we won't be able to see each other for a while." Blondina said, "Why? Are you going somewhere?" Aman replied, "No, but I have some things I need to do this month." Blondina thinks now that Aman's completed his coming-of-age ceremony, all that's left is the final battle to determine who will become the head of the divine beasts. He doesn't seem worried at all. But I don't want him to get hurt. Aman said I'll be back soon, so wait for me, okay? I won't look the same when I come back though. Bodina said sigh. I don't want my precious kitten to get hurt. Lucy, let's go to the forest of the divine beasts. Lucy said the forest? Blodina replied yes, we can go pick some mushrooms. Blodina thinks I don't want to sit around thinking about Aman. Being active will provide a distraction. Blodina said and eat some wild raspberries. Oh. What are you doing here, Lart? Lart said, are you two going somewhere? Blodina said I'm going to the woods with Lucy. Lucy replied greetings, Your Highness, the sacred star of our empire. Lart said hello, Lucy. Blodina thinks come to think of it, he's been coming by quite often these days. Did he take a liking to Lucy after that incident? But I'm not surprised. Lucy is so warm and kind. Lart said I want to go with you. You said you're going to the forest, right? Blodina said is it okay if he joins us? Lart said some royal she is, crouching on the ground and getting dirt all over herself. Blodina said to Lucy quietly, what do you think? Very fragrant, isn't it? Lucy replied yes. What kind of mushroom is this? Blodina said this is a lariam mushroom. They're sweet when dried. Lucy said, Princess, how do you know all this? Lart said she was a dirty commoner. Obviously she had to scavenge the mountains for food. Blodina thinks got it in one. Lucy said, Princess, you're not dirty, that's not true. Lart said I wasn't trying to insult her. I was just stating facts. Blodina said let's go pick some raspberries, Lucy. Lart said wait for me. Blodina said you can join us. After you apologize. Lart said what? He thinks just as I expected. Blodina said let's go, Lucy. Lart said I'm sorry. I said I'm sorry. Blodina said just to be clear, you're apologizing for insulting me and being rude, right? Blodina thinks he must really want to spend time with Lucy. Where did your pride go, dear prince? Blodina said then come on. And help us carry this basket. Lart said oh okay. Are you sure it's okay for us to venture this deep into the forest? Typically, even just entering the outskirts of the forest would be considered dangerous. Blodina said to Lucy. Aman said the area around the raspberry bushes was safe. Lart looked around and said wow. Blodina thinks you can't roam freely in the forest of the divine beasts. But Aman used his claws to mark his territory on the path leading to the raspberry bushes, and the woods surrounding them. No animal in its right mind would dare ignore the warning of a divine beast. Right now, this patch is even safer than the Imperial Garden. Blodina said, but something feels off. Lart said agreed. I can't pinpoint it, but it feels eerie. Lucy said it's too quiet. Blodina thinks the forest is unusually silent. I don't hear any birds or insects. Blodina said let's just head back. Lart said sounds good. Lucy replied yes, Your Highness. Blodina said there's something wrong with this path. Blodina thinks I've come here often, so I definitely know this path. But the more we walk, the stranger our surroundings become. Lart said I think we're lost. Blodina said are you okay, Lucy? Lucy said Princess. Lart said I think we're in danger. I'm the strongest out of the three of us. Stick close to me. Lart said Blodina, why don't you call out to that divine beast pal of yours? Blodina said we may attract wild animals if we make too much noise. Tears appeared in his eyes. Blodina said and Aman didn't mark his territory here, so it's dangerous. Aman said this is all my fault. I should have stopped you two when I heard you wanted to come here. Blodina said what are you saying, Lart? It's my fault. I'm the one who wanted to come here. But let's continue this argument after we're safely out of these woods, okay? Aman replied yeah. It's dangerous. Blodina, Lucy, stay close. Blodina said Lart. Blodina thinks this is the first time Lart has felt like a real brother to me. Blodina, Lucy, stay back. It's a bear. Blodina said Lart, let's split up. You and Lucy run to the left. I'll head right. Lart replied what are you talking about, Blodina? No way. Blodina said I'll see you back at the palace, Lucy. Lucy said Princess. It's too dangerous. Blodina said go. Blodina ran. Lucy shouts Your Highness. Blodina said Aman. Blondina thinks this is all my fault. The bear ran behind Blondina. She shouts Aman. She thinks I put Lart and Lucy in danger. Blondina said oh. Blondina fell down to the ground and thinks oh no. Am I going to die? Aman, Aman, you were a ray of light in my dark and troubled life. You made me so happy. I wish I'd had the chance to do the same for you. I'm sorry for always depending on you, Aman. At this time Aman came and he faced the bear. Aman shouts growling. Blondina thinks Aman? A fierce battle took place between Aman and the bear. Aman overpowered the bear. Aman said it's over? Just surrender, Aman said Briddy. She replied oh, don't kill it, Aman. Aman said why not? This bear tried to kill you, yet you want me to spare its life? Blondina said Aman, you said you didn't want to kill unless it was necessary. That bear wouldn't have attacked me if I hadn't been in the forest. Aman said Briddy you're hurt. Blondina said Lucy. Lucy's in the forest too, we need to save her. Aman said my dear Briddy, always putting others before herself. Why in the world are you here? The magic of the forest is unstable right now. It's also dark and full of dangerous beasts. Blondina replied I'm sorry, Aman. Aman said let's go. She replied okay. Lart saw Aman in animal form, fell to the ground and said whoa. Ouch. Aman asked Blondina, why are the two of you together while Briddy was all alone? Aman said Lucy, are you okay? Is that you, Aman? Aman said yes. Lucy crying said I'm fine. Blondina said I'm glad. Blondina thinks Aman, you got so angry with me, but you're being nice to Lucy. And yelling at Lucy and Lart for being together. As I suspected, Aman likes Lucy. Lucy said thank you for saving me today, Aman. Aman said yes, you better be thankful. I rushed over without finishing the fight, you know. Lucy said may the glory of the empire be with you, princess, and the great divine beast. I will be heading home now then. Blondina said thanks for bringing me home, Aman. Have a safe trip back. I'm going to sleep here tonight. Blondina said what? Aman said are you afraid of me, Briddy? Blondina said well, no, that's not it, Aman. Aman said it's too late to be afraid. I have no intention of being apart from you. Because you belong with me, Briddy. Aman said like I said, I'm sleeping here tonight right here. As he declared it so casually, Blondina could only stare at him, her thoughts softening as she looked at him. My cute, lovable leopard. He may look all grown up, but inside, he's still the Aman I know. Trying to stay composed, Blondina said okay, just don't roll over in your sleep. You may smother me to death. Aman quickly replied, oh, I didn't say we'd be sleeping in the same bed. The moment settled, but Blondina's mind drifted back to what had happened earlier. She had been attacked by a bear and barely escaped with her life. If Aman hadn't arrived in time, she would have died right then and there. In that desperate moment, she remembered wishing to see Aman just one last time, and as if by miracle, he came to her rescue. Yet now, standing before him, her heart felt strangely restless. It's not fair that Aman grew up to be so dashing. He's giving me butterflies in my stomach. What am I thinking? Unable to hold it in, Blondina asked, Aman, do you like Lucy by any chance? Without hesitation, Aman replied, of course I do. Her heart sank instantly. I knew it. I'm such a fool. She realized it too late, only after hearing his feelings out loud. She finally understood why she had always loved spending time with him, why her heart raced whenever he was near. It wasn't friendship. It was love. Pulling him into a hug, her thoughts spiraled. So, how do I get that big kitty cat to love me back? Maybe I should wrap myself up with those tree branches that Aman's so obsessed with. While she was lost in her emotions, Aman was having thoughts of his own. What was I thinking, coming in here of my own volition? Meanwhile, elsewhere, tension brewed as Lart was being confronted. Your thoughtless actions could have led to a serious conflict with the divine beasts, the Duke said sternly. I may have had no choice but to send my knights into the forest to find you and Blondina. Lart lowered his head. We were too busy chasing after a deer to realize that we had ventured so deep into the forest. I didn't think it would come to this. My apologies, Your Majesty. I'll deal with the fallout for what happened today. But Blondina immediately stepped in. Why? I'm the one who got us into this mess. Lart shook his head. You're not. We're all to blame. Confused, she asked, then why are you trying to cover for us? Lart answered honestly, you risked your life for us. I didn't. So I'd like to do something to help. Everyone just sees me as a thoughtless prince, anyway. So it won't cause a huge problem if I say I dragged you both into the forest. Then, as if trying to lighten the mood, he added, well, if the knights had made it into the forest of the divine beasts, they would have been able to taste the delicious raspberries that grow there. They were by far the most delicious raspberries I've ever eaten, Your Majesty. The Duke, however, remained focused. I also heard that you were accompanied by a divine beast when you exited the forest. Care to explain how that happened? Blondina answered carefully. I was able to befriend them at the ceremony. When we became lost, they helped us. The Duke repeated, you befriended them, while Lart's thoughts shifted strategically. If I use Blondina to improve our relationship with the divine beasts. Then, changing the topic, Lart asked, by the way, Blondina, did you sleep well last night? She replied, of course. What about you, Lart? He smiled lightly. Oh, I slept like a baby and, she continued, what about Lucy? Did she get some rest? Lucy's fine. I told her to take the day off. Lart nodded. I approve, Blondina. She immediately pushed back. I don't exactly need your approval, Lart. From the side, his sister watched everything unfold, her thoughts uneasy. When did it all begin? Our father started warming up to Blondina, and Lart also let his guard down. He's actually being chummy with her. The Duke then spoke again, Blondina, why don't you invite the divine beast to the palace? This may be a good opportunity to form a closer relationship with them. She responded respectfully, if I get the chance to meet them again, I'll pass on the invitation, Your Majesty. Yet inwardly, she couldn't help but think the truth. That divine beast already hangs out at the palace all the time, Father. He comes to snack on cookies, and even slept at the foot of my bed last night. Lart suddenly added, come to think of it, Your Majesty, do you remember Marquis Rod's son? He left to study abroad a few years ago, but I hear he's returning soon. Blondina froze slightly. Marquis Rod's son, Philip Rod's son? The boy who gifted me with a brooch before he left? He's coming back? Before she could process it further, Magetto burst in dramatically. Blondina! I heard you were nearly eaten by a bear. Then you would never have seen Magetto again. I heard the rumor. It happened when the fight for leadership of the divine beasts was taking place. The magic of the forest was unstable that day. Even I was hiding away in my nest. Silly Blondina. She smiled softly. Thanks for worrying about me. Magetto leaned closer, whispering in her ear, Don't place yourself in danger like that again. If you die, I won't be able to see you again. Magetto missed you so much when you went on that trip. Gently comforting him, she said, There. I won't. Hey, Lucy. Lucy answered politely, Yes, Your Highness. Blondina then asked, Between Amon and Lart, who do you like better? Lucy replied without hesitation, Amon. Instantly, Magetto complained in her ear, What's wrong with you, Lucy? Why do you like Amon better? He's a punk. Blondina simply responded, Though inside, she resolved something important. I don't want to compete with my dear Lucy for Amon's affections. Still, curiosity pushed her further. Then, if both Amon and Lart confessed their love for you, who would you choose? Lucy answered, Prince Lart. Hearing that, a faint echo of harsh words from the past surfaced in Blondina's mind. You useless piece of trash. Someone's cruel voice echoed in her memory, You're useless. Why should I keep you alive? And a trembling voice begged, PL, please spare me. Elsewhere, Adelia's thoughts turned sharp and calculating. Blonde and golden-eyed? Those are the characteristics of the descendants of Barahan, the only ones who can defeat the arrogant divine beasts. If this man is really a descendant of Barahan, I could take care of that brat once and for all, she muttered. What? Back in the present, Magetto huffed in frustration. What's wrong with you, Lucy? If you like Aman, why would you choose Lart over him? What gives? Even Blondina couldn't help but ask, yeah, Lucy. Why choose Lart when you like Aman better? Lucy calmly explained, Nell, Aman is a divine beast. Divine beasts don't see humans as their equals. They probably see us more as prey, and while I like, respect, and admire Aman, I don't have any romantic feelings toward him. I shouldn't have those feelings for him in the first place. Aman treats you and me very differently, Your Highness. Blondina's thoughts wavered. Is it because he likes Lucy? Of course, you treat the person you like differently. You're more self-conscious around them. Lucy added softly, so, I'm still a little afraid of him. Blondina tried to piece it together. So the bottom line is that Lucy doesn't like Aman, right? Is it an unrequited love? Poor Aman. Then suddenly she called out, Aman. What? He replied. Aman? She shouted again. Yeah. When did you get here? Aman just. Welcome, Aman. Come on. As she held him close, her heart softened. You're still my dear kitten, so warm, she said gently. Aman, you're a little hot. Are you ill? No. Your breathing is ragged too. I am grown up now, that's why. Don't worry about it. Her heart aches slightly. He doesn't let me hold him anymore. Trying to distract herself, she asked, come to think of it, Aman, did you get hurt during the battle for leadership? Nope. Not a scratch. Did things get complicated because of me? You said you rushed over to help us, without wrapping up the battle. Complicated? Britti, I'm the leader of the divine beasts now. Not even the elders can tell me what to do. His confidence only made her heart race faster. My heart starts pounding every time Aman gets close to me like this. If my feelings have changed, but Aman's haven't, how long must I disguise and hide how I feel inside? Why don't you get it, you thick-head cat? Flustered, she snapped out loud, Stop it, you pervy cat. Meanwhile, far away, a servant observed quietly, Things have changed quite a bit, haven't they, sir? Yes, it's been years. Things definitely seem different, Philip replied. The roads on the outskirts of the capital were all remodeled, and there's a new central clock tower. Is that so? Philip's thoughts drifted elsewhere. Blondina, your confident, kind gaze. The princess without a single mean bone in her body. I wonder how she's changed. The tragic princess, tainted by commoners' blood, will be your savior. The servant added, Seems like you just received some good news, sir. Not particularly, but there's a matter that is of some interest to me. His gaze darkened with intent. I'll be visiting you soon, Princess Baxian. Back at the palace, Lart asked, What brings you here? Well. Could you give Lucy some time off today? I think so. Why? Just then, Lucy appeared. Good morning, Princess. Oh, Lucy. What the heck? Blondina muttered. Your Highness? Gathering his courage, Lart stammered, If it's all right with you, would you like to go to the opera together? Are you talking to me? Watching the scene unfold, Blondina sighed inwardly. Budding love, now I'm a little jealous. I hope Aman doesn't see those too. But what's the point of worrying? Regardless of Aman's feelings toward Lucy, they could never be together, since they're human and beast. But that also means, regardless of how I may feel about Aman. She said it aloud, almost to convince herself, beasts and humans were never meant to be together, anyway. What are you talking about? Aman asked. Aman. What do you mean beasts and humans aren't meant to be together? Are you referring to me? Oh. His voice grew firm, almost angry. Why can't humans and beasts be together? Why not? Anything is possible. Why do you think I fought so hard to become leader of the divine beasts? I'll do whatever I want. And no one, human or beast, will stop me. Startled but smiling, she replied, Okay. Calm down, Aman. Yet deep inside she knew, you've always gotten your way. Who? What are you doing? Aman stammered, completely flustered. Blondina thinks is it me, or has his temper gotten even worse after he became an adult? Aman said, Hey Bridie. Are you still afraid of how I look now? Blondina said nope. Initially, I was a bit terrified, but I'm fine now. Not afraid at all. Oh, and, Aman, you'll always be you. I'd never be afraid of you. I mean it's you, Aman. Aman? Aman? Where are you going? As Aman suddenly turned away and destroyed the flower pot, Blondina shouted Aman. Later, she thought it's been 2 weeks since Aman suddenly took off, and she quietly said I miss Aman. Meanwhile, Magetto said come, and then complained why aren't you making the next move? It's your turn, Blondina. Blondina replied my bad. At that moment, a servant announced from behind the door, Your Highness, you have a guest. It's Marquis Philip Rodson, from the Rodson family. Blondina thought I heard he'd returned a few days ago after completing his studies abroad. Magetto shouted Philip? Who's that? Who's Philip? Blondina quickly said sure, don't say anything. Then Philip entered and said greetings, Princess Blondina, the great bloodline of the empire. Blondina replied yes, welcome. As Philip handed her flowers, he asked how have you been? She accepted them and replied, back, I've been well, Marquis Rodson. Seeing this, Magetto muttered is this a proposal or something? Huh! What's he doing? Is he out of his mind? As Magetto flew over, Philip paused and said I thought I just heard something. Blondina replied what? What are you talking about? Philip then continued anyway. Your Highness, it's been a while. How about the two of us catch up over a short walk? Blondina thought guess I could humor him. But Magetto could come find us and make a scene again. So she politely said but Magetto could come find us and make a scene again. Have a safe trip home. Bye. Philip was taken aback and thought she's turning me down? No one's given me the cold shoulder like this. Still, he said my apologies, next time, I'll make sure to make an appointment beforehand. I will take my leave now then. May the glory of the Empire shine down on you, Your Highness. She replied and then thought his intentions are clear. After all, I am now of marriageable age. I understand the reason behind his visit, and these flowers. But I need to focus on getting Aman to like me first. Then I have to start planning a future where divine beasts and humans can be together. Just then, she called out, is it you, Aman? And Aman said you, fix the door. As she rushed forward and hugged him, Aman said Bridie? Blondina smiled and said it's been so long since you visited last. But when Aman noticed the flower pot, he asked what's this? She hesitated Aman? Aman. Where are you going? Yet once again, Aman suddenly destroyed the flower pot before leaving. Blondina rushed toward him in panic. Aman! Did any of the shards hit you? But instead of answering normally, Aman's gaze darkened as he spoke coldly. I don't like others encroaching on my territory. It makes me want to tear their throats out. If you don't want to see blood spilled in this room, what should you do, Startled, Blondina stammered, don't let other people come inside? Exactly. This is my territory, and you are mine. She paused for a moment, then simply said okay. Yet deep inside, she couldn't help but think, he's weirdly possessive about me, although we're just friends, such a stubborn little kitten. After a brief silence, she called out softly, Aman. What? Why don't you ever turn into your human form anymore? I want to see how you look, all grown up. Aman smirked slightly. Do you think you could handle it? What do you mean? Before she could react, his form shifted, and in an instant, he stood before her as a grown man. Her breath caught. Oh. In the next moment, he lifted her effortlessly into his arms. Do you think you can handle it, when I do this? Or something like this? Her face turned red as she thought, he's gorgeous. Then, hesitantly, she said, Aman, can I touch you a little? Yeah. She gently touched his face, only for him to take her hand and kiss it. Her heart pounded wildly. This is just one of Aman's habits. He's always been like this. But then Aman murmured, I want to touch you too. Flustered, she cleared her throat. He reached out and touched her face, and for a second, her thoughts spiraled. Oh. He just wanted to pinch me. I was nervous over nothing. But the moment didn't end there. Aman laid her down on the bed, his touch turning more intimate as he said, I waited a long time to be able to touch you in this form. Lodina hesitated. But once I grew up, I became worried. That you would be frightened of me. His lips brushed against her, and her thoughts became a mess. He was just a cute little kitten. Why does he make me feel so good? I mean, I know humans and beasts act differently, but Aman doesn't seem to know that physical intimacy is not taken lightly among humans. Should I just stay still and feign innocence? No, I can't take advantage of Aman like that. Pushing him back slightly, she said, Hold on a second, Aman. Why? Stop it. Maybe later. His eyes lit up slightly. So you're saying that we can do more later? How much more? How much more? Well, let's cross that bridge when we get there. Then, as if satisfied, he said, Britty, since I'm in human form, I'm sleeping with you on the bed tonight. As sure. That means I'll be falling asleep with you in my arms, holding you tight all night. Okay. He looked at her for a moment, then added softly, Britty, you're still innocent, so I'll let you off the hook, for now. The next day, a servant announced, Your Majesty, Princess Adelai is here to see you. Adelai entered gracefully. Greetings to the son of our empire. Welcome, Adelai. What brings you here unannounced? I came by since I haven't seen you in a while, Father. I'm saddened that you've been too busy to spare any time for me. The Duke smiled faintly. Once the event I'd been preparing for is over and done with, I thought we might take a trip somewhere. What do you think, Adelai? Really? A trip? Perhaps we could visit the northern Zervan Peninsula again, Your Majesty? Their ice festival was quite amusing, if I recall correctly. Wherever you wish to go. She sighed softly. I wish we could go right away, but that's not possible, is it? You're too busy with the inaugural ceremony for the new leader of the divine beasts. So what if those beasts chose a new leader? I don't know why you need to put so much effort into this ceremony, Father. The Duke replied firmly, The Empire's pride is on the line with this event. Our Empire is hosting this event for the entire continent, so I need to ensure everything is perfect. Then Adelai asked, Your Majesty, why have you stopped looking for the descendant of Barahan? Her thoughts burned with ambition. The descendant of Barahan, the only being with the power to kill those arrogant beasts. The empire will become even stronger if we are able to divest the divine beasts of their power. That way, I will have absolute power when I ascend the throne. She declared boldly, Your Majesty, I'm going to find the descendant of Barahan. And once I do, the entire continent will see who the true ruler of the empire is. The Duke watched her quietly, thinking, oh yes, I was the one who planted this idea in her head. I told her she'd be able to succeed the throne if she found the descendant of Barahan. While the ideal solution is to forge peace with the divine beasts through Blondina, it's always good to have a backup plan. He then said, Give me your hand, Adele. What? What's this? He placed a key in her hand. Adele, the quest to find the descendant of Barahan is now no longer mine. An emperor's duty is to protect their citizens by keeping the bloodthirsty divine beasts in line. Find the descendant of Barahan, and show me that you can fulfill this duty, Adele. Your Majesty, are you saying you'll name me your heir? Before she could finish, a servant announced, Your Majesty, Prince Lart is here to see you. Send him in. Lart entered. Greetings to the son of our empire. Oh, you were meeting with Adele. Father, don't forget your promise to go on that trip with me after the ceremony is over. She left, clutching the key tightly, while Lart's eyes lingered on it. A key? The Duke turned to him. What brings you here? Oh, it's... Don't make me ask twice. Why did you abandon her? Lart froze. Blondina's mom, that is. Your Majesty, if you could ever go back. Lart. Is there someone you've begun to care for? Do you want to have her? His thoughts were firm. It's not a matter of having her. I just want to be with her. Lucy's not an object after all. Or do you want to protect her? Yes. Then start with things that are within your grasp. Fulfill your princely duties. Start working towards becoming emperor. One so powerful that no one would dare touch what is yours. Once you become emperor, one with unshakable power and authority, you'll be able to protect the woman you love. Days later, Blondina stood quietly as she thought, today is the day of the hunting tournament. A nationwide event held at the Forest of the Divine Beasts, a place filled with mystical flora and fauna. While the divine beasts weren't too keen on hunting, as they respected humans and their culture, they allowed humans to enter the forest twice per year. The divine beasts and humans have a rocky relationship, but at least they're managing to keep the peace. The Duke, riding on horseback, raised his voice. The hunting tournament is now underway, thanks to the generosity of the divine beasts. Let the hunt begin. Watching from afar, Blondina sighed inwardly. Well, I'm sure it'll be like last year. No one will be offering their game to me. As usual, Adele will probably receive all the deer, rabbits, and other game caught during the hunt. Then suddenly, her eyes caught a familiar figure. Philip? Lucy wondered nervously. Is he looking at me? What's going on? She had heard rumors that they brought an elephant from the south for this hunt. Do you think it's true? She asked. The girl beside her gasped. An elephant? How extravagant do they want the banquet to be? Lucy nodded. The Emperor announced that this year's banquet would be the most lavish of all. Oh, of course, he has the financial means to do so, Blondina added with excitement. Yes, the Empire is wealthier than ever. I'm looking forward to the inaugural ceremony for the new leader of the divine beasts. She paused, thinking, divine it may be, but it's still a mere beast. Well, all we need to do is enjoy the banquet the Emperor has prepared, right? Blondina's thoughts wandered. Divine beast, leader. I was bickering with that very divine beast yesterday. But hearing them talk about him like that, he suddenly feels like a stranger to me. Come to think of it, the girl said. Have you heard the strange rumor going around the palace? Rumor? Blondina asked. Supposedly, There's been sightings of a large black leopard in the palace. I heard a servant at daybreak. It moved lightning quick, Lucy exclaimed. Blondina thought, Amon's the only black leopard who visits the palace. He told me stealth was his forte. To be fair, he's no longer a kitten. At his current size, it must be much harder to stay out of sight. I wonder what Amon's up to right now. Your Highness, it looks like some of the participants have already returned from the hunt, Duke announced. Lady Hariv, he added, handing something over. This is for you. Hariv looked shocked. What? And me? Not the princess? She thought, the first prince, offering his game to the daughter of a fallen noble? Lucy curtsied nervously. It is an honor, Your Highness. I'm honored, truly, but why would you bestow your game to someone like me? Lard smiled. I shall bring you bigger game next time. What in the world are you doing? Why did you give your game to Blondina's lady-in-waiting? Adelia demanded. Her name is Lucy Hariv. Lard replied casually. I don't need to know her name. She's beneath me. Adelia spat. Beneath you? She may well become an imperial princess consort. Lard countered. What? I'm planning on telling father that I have feelings for Lucy. Adelia thought furiously. I don't give a damn who Lard chooses as his partner. I just need to use him to shield my ambitions until I can become empress. But the fact he's chosen someone so close to Blondina, that I can't stand. I don't want anything to do with her. Okay, let's calm down. Lucy Hariv is still from a powerless family. She'll only drag him down. It'll only make it easier for me to ascend the throne. After all, things like true love are insignificant in comparison to power. Lart, you do know father won't approve of your choice, don't you? I mean, we all know how carefree you are, but there are some lines you shouldn't cross. Adelia warned. You thoughtless fool, she thought. Thanks for worrying about me, Adelia. But I can handle this myself. Lart said confidently, mounting his horse. He thought, you idiot. Just goes to show how unfit you are to be emperor. Lucy, for you, I'll become so powerful that no one would ever dare question my authority. A man approached them. My love, while it isn't much, please accept my offering. I'll bring you something even more impressive once we are wed, he said. Princess Adelia, please accept my game, Your Highness. I was thinking of you as I hunted. Please accept mine too. Blondina watched them, thinking she looked happy. Philip stepped forward. Princess Blondina, this is my gift to you, the beautiful star of our empire. Please. Blondina's thoughts echoed, this is my gift to you, the beautiful star of our empire. Please accept my offering. Philip said. Blondina gasped. Marquis Rodson? It looks like Marquis Rodson has won the tournament. Duke smiled. I thought I'd be the winner, with the buck I hunted down. I guess I'm not the only one who recognizes Blondina's beauty. Now then, let's start the award ceremony. A man ran forward, shouting. It's a leopard! Wait, it's not just a leopard. He thought, a divine beast. Blondina stammered. Divine beast, oh mighty divine beast, oh, greetings to the divine beast. Duke added formally. Protector of our empire. Greetings to the great divine beast. Amon approached Blondina. Here I am. The game you hunted? Blondina touched her face. Amon, girls nearby whispered. What did he just say? Did he say he was game, a divine beast? Duke, shocked, demanded. When you say you're her game, does this mean that you've been captured by Blondina? Amon replied calmly. Of course. From the very beginning. Girls gasped, whispering. What the divine beast, and Princess Blondina? Blondina asked. Why are you here? Nobody offers me anything at the hunting tournament. It's because they know there's nothing in it for them. Regardless, it makes me feel so small. She thought, I remember what you said. So I dreamed of this day. When I could offer myself, huge and noble, as your prize during the tournament. Duke observed everything and announced. Well then, this means the winner of this year's tournament is Princess Blondina. She replied proudly. I will now announce the winner of the hunting tournament, Duke said loudly. Blondina Ryonates. It is my pleasure to present to you my eldest daughter as this year's winner, the servant confirmed. Blondina Ryonates, first princess of the empire, is the winner of the tournament. Congratulations, Your Highness! Praise be to the winner, Lucy cheered. Your Highness, Blondina replied. All right, Lucy and another girl added. Congratulations, Your Highness! Murmur congratulations on your win. Praise the princess. Your Highness, Blondina thought, I would have been happy with just an offering. Little did I know I'd end up the winner. And it's all because of my big cat. Duke asked. Have you ever seen a princess hunt a divine beast before? I'm afraid not, Your Majesty, a man replied. Duke smiled. Take a good look. My daughter has done what none else could, people whispered again. Congratulations, Your Highness! Congratulations! Blondina thought, I should have been the savior of the humble princess, not a mere animal. Philip, watching silently, thought, how dare a mere animal? Adelia snapped. You should have offered your game to me, not her. I like you, Philip. What? What do you mean? Philip stammered. Your relaxed demeanor, handsome face, even your aloofness. Just imagine, Philip, what you'll get by marrying a princess. And I don't mean the lowly half-blooded one, but the true, noble, and pure-blooded princess. Think about it, Adelia continued. Philip just blinked, unsure what to say. Blondina looked at Amon nervously. Amon, are you sure we can do this? She asked. Amon tilted his head. What do you mean? Blondina hesitated. You said things would get sticky if you're caught hanging out with humans, and that you'll be in trouble with the elders. Amon smirked. Bridie, have you forgotten who I am? Blondina replied. You're Amon Akin, not that, the great leader of the divine beasts? That's right, Amon said confidently. I don't need to give a damn about what other divine beasts or humans say about me anymore. Blondina's eyes widened. Does that mean you can visit my palace whenever you want? Absolutely, Amon answered. There's no reason to sneak around. That means I'll be freely entering your room at night too. Blondina smiled shyly. Really? That's great. I know it's been harder to sneak around after you grew bigger. It's been tough, right? Amon chuckled. You're just too innocent. Blondina cleared her throat. Huh? Why you always let me do what I want? That's why I'm so spoiled, Amon admitted. Blondina touched her face gently. Who cares if you're a bit spoiled? Just don't eat me up. But you smell so good, Amon teased. I thought you said you didn't eat humans, Blondina exclaimed. Did I? Amon replied innocently. You liar, she laughed. Yep. Not only that, I play dirty and change my mind often, he added. Blondina giggled. What? My leopard, my kitty cat. She thought, my world is so much brighter with you in it. Lart, observing everything, called out. Lucy. Yes, Your Highness, she replied. Lart frowned. Are those two dating or something? He thought to himself, a love affair between a divine beast and royalty. It's true that my relationship with Blondina and Amon started off on the wrong foot. But we've gotten much closer since, to the point where I can casually pay her a visit anytime. If I become emperor, this may work in my favor. Another day, Adelia sat on a chair, sighing. Ha! She thought, I need to do something. I have to find a way to turn things around. Blondina Ryonates. I didn't like you from the start. I'll never acknowledge you as my older sister. A brat from humble origins, pretending to be noble and regal. What a joke. No matter what, she's nothing but a half-blood. I am the only legitimate princess of our empire. Still, things are in my favor, especially since Marquis Rodson seems willing to join forces with me. With the descendant of Bearhan by my side, and the Rodson family officially backing me up, the Rodson family and I will be able to further strengthen the anti-divine beast alliance. On another side, Blondina lay on her bed, worried. I'm worried about the upcoming summer holidays. I have to join the royal family on a trip to the Zervan Peninsula to see the ice festival. She thought, it won't be a vacation, it'll be torture. At least Lart will be happy, since Lucy will be accompanying me. Magetto bounced excitedly. Take me with you. I want to go north too. I want to see the ice. Magetto, you won't be able to talk in Etesian during the trip. Is that okay? Blondina asked. Yep. I can be quiet, he replied. Flying up, he added, I'm good at being quiet. Zoom. I want to go too. Blondina raised her finger. By the way, Magetto, is Amon home? I haven't seen him in ages. Magetto replied. Think Amon went to the springs. The springs? Blondina repeated, thinking, I know it's a little dangerous, but I really miss him. Blondina went to the forest. At that moment, Amon appeared. If you ever need to go into the forest again, wear this ring. I put a little bit of my power into it, so no wild animal or divine beast will dare approach you. Got it. Thanks, Amon, Blondina said gratefully. Amon added playfully. Lie, for real? What are you doing, Amon? She asked. I'm rubbing my scent on your clothes, just in case, he replied. Blondina thought, this should be enough, I think. Suddenly, she saw a beast and fearfully whispered. What the? I thought I felt the presence of our leader. She thought a divine beast. The beast spoke. You're the human that participated in our coming-of-age ceremony. The one our leader treasures. Why yes, that's right, she replied. Hi. I've introduced myself before, but I'm Shanti, the beast said. Blondina thought, Shanti's so different from Amon. She forced a smile. Nice to meet you. I'm blonde, but why didn't the leader imprint on you? Imprint? Shanti replied. Oh, I guess you're just prey? Anyway, what brings you here? I'm looking for Amon, Blondina answered. Amon? It's a bit dangerous right now, since Amon's out of control, Shanti warned. What? Dangerous? Nell, it's got nothing to do with me. But hey, you smell good. You smell delicious, actually, Blondina said nervously. She thought, Amon's okay, since we're friends, but divine beasts are animals who eat meat. I'd never had human meat before. Is today the day? Shanti laughed. I'm just joking. Amon would kill me if I did anything like that. Blondina thought, I shouldn't waste any more time. Amon is, she called out. Hey, Shanti. Could you take me to Amon? She asked. Sure, I could. But Amon always acts really weird after he comes back from the springs. Nell, maybe it'll be okay. Let's go. It'll be fun to see what happens, Shanti said. Here, hop on. If you don't mind, Blondina said, mounting Shanti. Shanti leapt forward, running gracefully. Off we go. You're really light. Are all humans like this? Shanti asked. Probably. I mean, we're definitely smaller than divine beasts. When did you first meet Amon? I'm guessing you knew him before the coming-of-age ceremony, Blondina asked. Well, we met when we were younger, Shanti replied. Are you all grown, by any chance? Maybe Amon didn't imprint on you yet because you're so small and tiny, Shanti wondered. Blondina thought, I'm not that small. You divine beasts are just much too big. Imprint? She asked. What? You don't know what imprinting is? Ash, no wonder Amon hasn't done anything yet, Shanti explained. Blondina thought, it's such a bumpy ride, I can't think straight. It wasn't like this when I was riding on Amon's back. I guess Amon was being considerate, Shanti said. We're here, human. By the way, what was your name again? I'm Blonde Einar Ryan Atesh, but Amon calls me Briddy, she replied. I see, Briddy, Shanti said. At that moment, Amon arrived, looking furious. Shanti said, A leader! You're here, but why are you so angry? I brought Briddy here because she was looking for you, Amon snapped. Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to call her that? Ouch. Ugh. That hurts, Shanti cried. It's Blondina to you, Amon said firmly. What? Shanti asked. To you, she is Blondina, Aman repeated. Shanti groaned. Wait, that's what this is about. Okay. I won't use her nickname, Aman warned. Watch yourself from now on. Shanti stormed off. You jerk. You thug. Ugh, our leader's so possessive. Blondina is going to have a really hard time. I'm not running away because I'm scared. I'm only leaving because you're the big boss. Geez, Blondina hesitated. Aman, should I not have come here? You didn't even say hello, that's not it, it's just dangerous. Aman replied. What's dangerous? She asked. I am to you. I can't keep myself in check. Aman in human form warned. Don't come to me smelling like another beast, Brady. Makes it harder for me to wait for you. Wait for me? For what? Blondina asked. My imprint, on your body, Aman said, taking her hand. He added romantically. Are you ready for me to leave my imprint on you, Brady? And then kissed her gently. Blondina and Aman started kissing. Blondina thought, is this a dream? It must be. Something this good couldn't possibly happen to me in real life. Aman pulled back slightly. I was this close to losing my control, Brady. You're human, so let's take it slow. I don't want to hurt you, okay? Blondina replied softly. You're always so warm. Aman murmured, hugging her tightly. Why is your skin so soft, Brady? Blondina thought, oh my gosh. I can't believe that just happened. I liked it, I really did. But why did he suddenly become such a beast? I was so sure that Aman liked Lucy. So how in the world did this happen? Was it all a misunderstanding? Was I imagining things? But his warm gaze on me, that was definitely real. The way his lips gently brushed against mine, that was real, too. And I know he meant it when he hugged me and whispered into my ear. His actions all seemed so genuine, which makes it even harder to figure out what Aman's really feeling. Perhaps beasts express their emotions differently from humans. She opened her eyes and shouted. Ugh, I hope that's not the case. Still, so refreshing, she thought, as she went away. Growled Torm. Is this sound coming from Aman? Amon? No, that's not him. Good kitty. I've never seen fur so pitch black. You must be that leopard. The one who's affected by the powers of my forest. Come to think of it, you can't talk, right? There you go. You knew? Who the hell are you? Me? Who else would I be? I'm the light of the land. The protector of the forest, the leopard said. Your Highness, Blondina exclaimed. Huh? Oh, did you call me? Are you okay? You look a bit pale, Lucy asked. Yes, I'm okay, Blondina replied. She thought, I know I had a dream last night, and I think Aman was in it. Did something happen between you and Aman? Lucy asked. Oh, of course not. Things are fine, Blondina stammered. Lucy thought, something definitely happened between the princess and Aman, Your Highness. I'm the most trustworthy lady-in-waiting you'll ever meet. If you want to brag about something, or have anything to say, you know you can tell me, Lucy added, watching her expression carefully. Blondina said. Nell, the truth is, Lart interjected. Now, that's not what's important. My steed, Blackwind, is now 6 years old. He's at the prime age for mating. Spring is turning to summer, right? That means it's mating season. Do you know how many people want their Maras to mate with Blackwind? So I'd like to give House Harav the first opportunity to sire offspring with Blackwind. Just a minute, Lart. Did you say it was mating season right now? Blondina asked. Lart cleared his throat. Huh? Yes. And it's also the best season to raise foals, too. I'm not talking about Blackwind. Does this apply to all animals? Blondina asked. Lart replied. Well, I'm talking about Blackwind. So, does it apply to all animals or not? Blondina pressed. Yes, it should, to most animals, Lart confirmed. Blondina thought, does this mean that Aman made out with me because it was mating season? Yes, it was instinctual. It only happened because it's mating season. A man is the king of animals. Being a divine beast, he must have stronger instincts and desires than a mere animal. Okay then. I'll explain to him that humans have different notions of love, and since he kissed me, he can't take it back. I'll make him take responsibility for his actions. He usually listens to what I say, and does have a sense of responsibility. Worst case scenario, I'll give up life as a royal and go live with him in the forest of divine beasts. I think everything will be fine. At that moment, a man came. Britty. Blondina hugged him tightly. You're here! Aman smiled. HAA. Blondina thought, he was pretty moody during puberty. But now he's probably acting this way because it's mating season. Divine beasts are such sensitive animals. Aman is so dashing, a sleek, lithe body, and a strong jawline. His shining coat, Aman has every reason to be confident about his looks. And his eyes shine like flames. They're so beautiful. Aman, Blondina called. What? He replied. I heard it was mating season for you. Where did you learn that? You're one to talk. You're younger than me. I have 2 years on you. So, is it mating season for all beasts right now? Does it apply to leopards too? Blondina asked. I'm not just an animal, Aman said. Of course not. You're a mighty divine beast. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, you may not know this, but humans don't make out with just anybody. I'm sure animals do that with whomever they lay their eyes on during mating season, but, well, Blondina explained. If a person did that, we'd call them a cad, a scoundrel, or a rake. Others would think of them as a terrible person. She continued. You're not human, but that's how I feel. I mean, you can transform into a human, and we were kinda touchy-feely, so if you acted like an animal, you'd be a scoundrel, a rake, Blondina said firmly. So what you're saying is that, if I don't want to be thought of as a scoundrel of a beast, I should only make out with you? Aman asked. Blondina cleared her throat. Huh! Britty, you have no idea what's going through my head right now. Really, you're too. Aman started. Stop it, you silly kitten! Don't pretend to be a kitten, you big cat! She scolded. You're the one who called me a kitten! Aman replied, nuzzling her neck. I said stop it. You're heavy. And you're in leopard form, Blondina protested. Things would get more awkward if I were in human form. I'm giving you time, Britty, so that I don't do anything I might regret, Aman explained. I said stop it, she repeated. Give me a break, it's that time of year, Aman said with a sly grin. On another side, Adele thought, I need to find a means to subdue and control those arrogant divine beasts. That's the first thing I need in order to become empress. A servant's voice called from the door. Your Highness, Marquis Philip Rodson is here. Enter, Adele said. Philip bowed. Greetings to Princess Adele, the beautiful star of our empire. So, are you making any progress? She asked. Of course. We're making steady progress with the translation of ancient documents, and we're narrowing down possible locations of the temple, Philip explained. As I expected, things are progressing more quickly with House Rodson on board, Adele said. However, once we find the temple, how will you figure out who the real descendant of Barahan is? Philip asked. Our founding god lived there. According to royal legend, a holy spear is said to hang at the entrance of the temple. By collecting the spear and using the golden key, one should be able to gain access to the god's quarters. And when the true descendant returns, the harp in the temple will resonate. While it's a long-forgotten legend, if true, the moment the descendant of Barahan enters the temple, the harp will make a sound. I've already secured several golden-eyed blondes who are potential descendants of Barahan. The only thing left is to find the temple, Adele explained. But, Your Highness, what if the people you've found aren't descendants of Barahan? Philip asked. Then we'll keep looking. And kill the worthless trash, Adele said coldly. She asked. How does one get married? Aman replied. Apparently humans can't spend the night with someone until after they've married them, Magetto chirped. I'm sorry? What do I need to do in order to marry a human? Aman asked seriously. Aman, are you, leopard, asking me, a sparrow, about human marriages? Aman sighed. Never mind. You can go now. Magetto flapped angrily. Where would Magetto go? My nest is up there. Aman, you're acting really strange today. Should I go ask some humans about this? I'll go to Blondina and ask how people get married. Don't you dare. Absolutely not. You'd better keep your beak shut. If you don't, I'll swallow you whole, feathers and all. Aman threatened. Magetto squawked. You always say you'll eat me. You're mean. I'm going to tell Blondina. I'm serious. If you tell her, I'll smash your nest into pieces, she shouted. You're horrible. Magetto's leaving, Aman muttered. Oh, I know who I could ask, he shouted. Shanti! You, come out here for a second. Shanti cleared his throat. Huh, Aman said. Hurry. W what? WH what's going on, boss? Shanti stammered. Aman sighed. Here we go again. How do humans get married? Shanti blinked. What the marriage? I'm asking how it's done, Aman said, impatient. What are you talking about, all of a sudden? Shanti asked. Don't you know what marriage is? How did you even manage to start dating? You're in a relationship with Hala, Aman said firmly. Shanti blushed. Is that what this is all about? I professed my love to Hala first. Then I gave her some pretty antlers, ahaha. I also picked an armload of raspberries for Hala's mom, since they're her favorite, and gave it to her. Aman thought, jerk. Why ask a question if he's not going to wait for the answer? Some leader he is. In human form, Aman muttered. Hey you. Yes? Where can I find the emperor? Lucy asked nervously. Greeting him politely, she said. Gee, greetings to the great divine beast, Aman asked. So, where's the emperor? Need to meet with him. Over there, in the blue building where the foreign delegation has gathered, Lucy replied. Aman thought, there it is. It would have taken me all day to get here if I were in human form. He must be a foreign delegate who got lost in the royal gardens. A man approached. Please allow me to guide you to the waiting area for the emperor. This way, I shall take my leave now. Please enjoy your visit. Aman thought, do I have to always wait here if I want to meet the emperor? We asked the delegation from the kingdom of Orphan to wait here to enter the building. Forcing my way into the building to see the emperor probably isn't a good idea, the man explained. Another man introduced himself. Greetings. I am Maharan from Tarkhan. I haven't seen you before. Who are you and where are you from? Aman replied. I am Maman Akin from the forest, Maharan said. Ah, the forest. Aman thought, I heard the empire recently took control of the forests near the eastern border. He must be from there. Maharan smiled. It's nice to meet you, Aman. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. You probably don't know much since you're from the forest, but things are quite complicated in the empire. Maharan thought, we'll probably run into each other during banquets and other events, so I should show him now who's boss. When it comes to physical strength, no one has been able to best me. What kind of strange greeting method is this? Will there be such screaming every time I greet one of them? Humans have the strangest ways of greeting one another. Maharan laughed. Haha, you're really strong. Aman thought, strong? That guy? On another side, Lart thought, I know this is an annual event, but meeting with delegates from over 40 countries is really tiring. Duke said, I understand. In that case, we'll dispatch additional forces. Lart thought, will I be able to be half the emperor my father is? I need to become the next emperor, in order to protect Lucy. I need to stay focused. A man cried, I give up. I surrender. Lart, seeing all that, thought, huh? What's all the commotion? Another man yelled. My wrist. That's the sixth person so far. He's as strong as an ox. Lart shouted. Aman? Duke asked. Son, what is the meaning of this frivolous behavior? Lart said. My apologies for interrupting, Your Majesty, But it looks like the leader of the divine beasts is waiting amongst the delegates. Duke asked. Did what you just say? So, who's the next challenger? That would be me, Maharan stammered. Wait a minute. Over there. Why, your majesty? Greetings to the son of our empire, he asked in the air. What are you doing? The emperor is here, Aman said. So? Maharan barked. Ugh, hurry and bow your head. He thought, oh no. I warned you, Duke said. Our great son, and ruler of the forest, greetings to the divine beast. The divine beast? People whispered. That young man from the forest is a divine beast? Divine beast? Are they referring to the divine leopard, the ruler of these lands? A girl said. Greetings to the divine beast. Greetings to the divine beast, the protector of our empire. Greetings to the divine beast. Aman thought, this is getting tedious. How much longer must I wait here? Duke said. Apologies for the humble reception. Please come this way. Maharan thought, oh my god, what just happened? I was the first one to shake the hand of the divine beast. He broke my bones first. A girl gasped. What? Maharan replied. So, Duke thought, he's not just an elder, but the leader of the divine beasts. Why did he come to see me? Is there something going on? Aman asked. What do you like? Duke blinked. Excuse me? Aman continued. What could I give you to make you happy? Aman thought, Shanti picked raspberries for Hala's mom to get approval to court her. That means I need to give the emperor something, too. Duke cleared his throat. You're saying that you, a divine beast, want to give something to me? She thought, I was searching for Barahan so we could eliminate the divine beasts, who are a threat to the throne. But what we're really hoping for is, Duke said, I would like you to provide us with peace and stability, O divine beast. Aman replied. Peace and stability? How would I be able to give that to you? Lard added. If I may, O divine beast, your majesty, I have a good idea. May I explain? Aman thought about peace and stability. What kind of abstract philosophical answer was that? Did humans always talk in such a roundabout fashion? He needed to give the emperor something that would make him happy so he could ask for Blondina's hand in marriage. He had been thinking of something more along the lines of free entry to the forest of the divine beasts. Of course, he could use force and bulldoze his way into getting what he wanted, but he wanted everybody to bless their union. He didn't want Blondina to worry about anything. Aman said, Peace and stability? How would I be able to give you that? Lard replied. If I may, O divine beast, your majesty. I have a good idea, may I explain? Go ahead, Aman allowed. There's a precedent set by the royal family to secure peace and stability, remember? The first emperor married the princess of Vulhail to end a war and bring peace to the kingdom. Lard continued. And father, you also married my mother, the daughter of the Duke of Vintium, to bring stability to the empire. Duke thought marriage was a means frequently used to bring peace. It was certainly the easiest way to strengthen alliances and sustain prosperity. But they were talking about divine beasts, who abhorred human beings. Would they really agree to a marriage between a divine beast and a human? Aside from that, the bigger problem was, Duke said, Do you mind if I ask you a rather blunt question? Why are you suddenly reaching out to us? Aman said. Alright, I'll allow it. If marrying Blondina brings peace and stability to the region, then I'll do whatever it takes to make it happen, Duke said. Huh? Did you say Blondina? Duke thought, I knew they were close, after seeing them together at the coming-of-age ceremony and the hunting festival. Duke said, But divine beast, Blondina is... Aman said. However, the marriage is only to take place if Blondina wants to wed me of her own free will. What I'm saying is that she can't be forced into marriage purely for the sake of peace and stability. So it would be best if we kept this discussion a secret from her. Aman thought he had lived his entire life mired in political intrigue, but divine beasts were on a whole new level. Or was this divine beast the exception to the rule? It was refreshing, frankly. Duke said, Yes, I understand what you're saying. I did it. At that very moment, Blondina said. My ears are itchy. Is someone talking about me behind my back? Aman thought. When the new leader of the divine beasts came into power, the royal palace celebrated by offering lavish gifts and hosting an extravagant party. The coronation ceremony officially announced the new leader of the divine beasts to the world. Outside the palace, commoners continued the celebration for a number of days, and that coronation ceremony was to take place tomorrow. Blondina said, "Tomorrow's the day you become the official leader of the divine beasts, Aman." Aman replied, "I've always been the leader, Bridie." Blondina hugged him and said, "Still, the coronation ceremony makes it official." Aman replied, "I don't need the acknowledgement of humans." Blondina said, "Don't be so cynical. Aren't you happy to become leader of the divine beasts?" Aman said, "Being the leader isn't the real reason why I'm happy." Blondina asked, "Then what is it?" Aman in human form said, "Bridie, I'm not happy because I've become the leader of the divine beasts." Aman hugged and kissed her and said, "What really makes me happy are the things I'll be able to do as leader. That's what brings me joy. We're getting closer, Bridie. So wait just a little longer." Aman walked away, thinking he wasn't sure what he meant, but whatever made Aman happy made him happy too. On another side, Adele said, "You said you found the location of the temple?" Philip replied, "Not exactly, but one of the people we captured told me something very interesting." A man stammered, "They say the royal palace was built on the site of the temple, meaning the temple isn't too far away from the royal palace." Philip said, "Continue," the man replied. "The temple is said to be a white building, located deep within the forest, west of the royal palace." Adele said, "The western forest. It's close to the forest of the divine beasts, which is why we haven't had a chance to check it out yet." Philip said, "My family has been searching the forest since yesterday. I'm confident that we'll be able to find it soon." Blondina thought, fantastic. If things went well, she would be able to subdue those arrogant divine beasts and become empress. Philip asked, "Your Highness, how do you plan on subduing the divine beasts?" Adele asked. "What do you mean?" Philip explained. "The descendant of Barahan will likely have divine powers. If they use their powers to control the divine beasts and rebel against the royal family." Adele said, That's a plausible scenario." Philip said, "I have an idea. Have you heard of magic stones?" A man warned. "Be careful," another added. "We'll have a bird's eye view from here." "The leader of the divine beasts' coronation," a man said. "There hasn't been a leader of the divine beasts in place for a while. We finally have someone to lead and protect the empire," Lucy replied. "Yes, I hear the new leader is a black leopard," a man added. "Rumor has it that he's so scary up close, you can't help but tremble in his presence." "That's right, my cousin, who works as a royal servant, saw the divine beast on the hunting grounds, and he told me that the black leopard was massive," she replied. "Wow." Duke and his family rode the horses and went away. Duke said, "Glory to the divine beast! Glory to the emperor!" Blondina thought, "I'm so happy I can be here today to take part in celebrating Aman's coronation. I hope preparations are going well." Duke raised his hand and took the sword. 3 men bowed down to the ground. At that moment, Shanti and Aman arrived. Duke saw Aman bowing, and Blondina saw the scene. She thought, "He's here." Humans vowed not to raise their swords against the divine beasts, and in return, the divine beasts agreed to cease their meaningless slaughter of humans. This ceremony was a reminder that the safety of the humans lies in the hands of the divine beasts. Duke said, "O great divine beast, conqueror of the continent, Atesh promises its all to the owner of the sacred forest." Aman thought, "The things I dreamed of when I first met Blondina were now, one by one, becoming reality. I wished for, and succeeded in, becoming the leader of the divine beasts, and received permission from the emperor. Now there was only one wish left, the one I had been yearning to have come true most." Shanti said, "You look like you're in a good mood. Guess you're enjoying all the power that comes with the title. What, can't I make a joke?" "Geez," Duke said. "I declare that the empire of Atesh belongs to Aman Akin." At that time, Blondina ran toward Aman and hugged him. She said, "Aman, Congratulations on becoming leader, Aman replied. Thanks, Mangetto said. Is the ceremony over now? Is it? Aman, are you really the leader of the divine beasts now? Blodina said. Mangetto congratulates you too, Aman. Don't just protect the empire, look out for me, too, Mangetto said. Don't be greedy, girls watching said. Oh my, so the rumors that the princess and the divine beast have a close relationship are true then? Another girl said. Yes, she participated in the coming-of-age ceremony for the divine beasts a while back, and it seems they became friendly then. I also heard that the divine beast recently paid a visit to the emperor. Really? I heard about that too. Maybe we'll get more opportunities to see those beautiful divine beasts at the palace. I wish I could go near them, like the princess. I'm actually too petrified to even approach them. I'm just happy to be able to see them from afar. Adele, I thought, the great royal family, bowing down to those oversized brutes. Am I the only one outraged by all of this? How can we let this happen? Father is the one who told me to seek the descendant of Bearhan, so why is he doing all this? That nasty animal must have bewitched everybody. I need to find a way to fix this.